cracking battle. Those second and third efforts of Mumford amaze a lot of players and commentators around. He's a fantastic athlete.
Well, a win today for Sydney, and they hope that Carlton can topple the Saints. They get a home final at ANZ Stadium. Underway, Black buffeted off the ball. Quick kick from Rich into the path of Black. Worn closely again by Kieran Jack. And as Ruzi said, he hasn't had great games against the Swans because of the work they put into him. Good defensive work. Jack, a clear possession. White had his hand on it, couldn't take the mark. Good work by Maguire. Good tackle by McGlynn.
That's a really good example of Mumford. I think it was Mumford that crashed into Rich there. Rich looked like he was going to get a possession, maybe hit a forward inside 50, and Mumford just crashes in. He's always involved in the game, the big fella.
And Leuenberger did well. Black, can't see him getting a lot of room this afternoon. Comes out to Polkinghorne, toe poked it forward.
Good starting at full forward, and I think he's got Rains at full back, so good matchup for the Swans.
And Goods is the target, works his way to the front, nudged underneath the ball by Rains. No advantage, it'll come back to the two-time Brownlow medals.
And that's just really good coaching from John Longmire, just preparation. Maybe they knew that Rains was going to go with him before the game. That's great preparation. Goodsy to full forward. And Rains, there's no way known Rains can play him full forward v full back unless he gets significant help from maybe a ruckman dropping back or a centre back dropping off their man.
Absolutely, he's left one out. Not a good position for a undersized fullback.
Season high 30 disposals, 1 goal, 3 an inspiring win against the Cats last week, and he continues on and gets first blood.
Yeah, good start from the Sydney Swans, and that was from the centre bounce right through the transition from the half back line into the full forward line. Some good coaching, and as you with Goods and Rains deep. Very, very uncomfortable for the best of fullbacks, but when you're used to playing on ball, you can get panicked into giving free kicks away. And Rains just has pushed Adam Goods under the ball, an obvious free kick.
First goal to Adam Goods this afternoon, 33 for the year.
Swat, I mean, you look at the size difference there. You know, if he's going to be left one out all day, there was a significant amount of room for him to lead into. And Rains just grabbed his arm. I mean, there's nothing you can do, and you'll give away a few free kicks if they give him that much latitude. There's no question about that. And even now, Al, we look down the ground, you can see it's really 4-on-4 in the Swans forward line. So there's a fair bit of space down there if they can get it quickly out of the stoppages.
Munford, good use of his body. Ricochets to Stiller. Bouncing ball, swooped on by Rich, and he's pounced upon by Matner. Great tackle. Spills free, Retzlaff. Comes to Johnson. The absence of Grundy. With a virus. Kennedy having to work hard. Rich. Another good tackle by Matner. That one might have been in the back.
And the back to Ash McGrath. And Ash McGrath's been forced to play forward in recent weeks because of the lack of potency in the forward half. But he's a very experienced player, whether it's down back or in the forward half. But Daniel Rich, 3 games back from injury, he hasn't had any space at time. Every time he grabs the ball, the Swans are right onto him. He worked like that one fairly well, Ash McGrath. Got a push in the back, but he certainly helped the situation by jumping forward.
23 goals is his best return since 2005 when he kicked 35. Ash McGrath, a quick reply inside the square. It's a good kick, nice purchase, beautiful finish.
I think the clearance is going to be really significant early on. 9-2 tackle count in favour of the Swans, but looks like there's a fair bit of space in both forward lines. Half forwards on both teams coming up to the stoppages, which means, you know, generally it's a 4v4 inside the forward line. See here, he did. He sort of almost backed in and then fell forward. So that was a really smart piece of play. It was a clear free click, but a good piece of play from McGrath and a really nice finish from around about 50 metres out.
Well, Brisbane, their season concludes at the end of this game. Ash McGrath has had a pretty solid season. 24 goals, 11 for the year. Has played 20 of 21 games in 2011.
So the defensive pressures of the Swans right up. 9-2 as far as the tackle count is concerned. It's a really good start.
And here we can see here now, both half forwards coming up the ground. We've got McGrath coming up. Goodsy looks like he's moving up. So deep down each forward line, it's 2 or 3 pairs deep. So there's quick kicks coming out like this are going to be really effective.
Harwood, kinesis, ball alive, Sheldon, arcing run, got the handball away. Swarming Swans defence once again, prices the ball forward and out of bounds.
I think it looks like Matt Maguire's pushed up onto the Adam Goods matchup, so Michael Voss may have already made the change there. Just a little bit concerned when Goods is out of the midfield, just Rain's not having the body strength to go with him.
Leuenberger. Bemused Shane Mumford.
There didn't look a lot in that, but obviously we'd need to see it again. Leuenberger looks like he's using his height to get front position, which is a smart thing to do.
So one of two players to recommit, Daniel Rich and Matthew Leuenberger. And the final piece of that trio jigsaw is Mitch Clark. Kick is on its way. Scrapes through for a behind.
Just on the Goodsy thing, Al, though, they're going to have trouble because as soon as Maguire goes to him, absolutely, Adam will come up in the midfield, and as soon as Rains goes to him, he's going to go back to full forward. So they're going to have to really be diligent in swapping those matchups because it's going to be a headache for them.
And that's not something Michael Voss can orchestrate from the coach's box. The players have got to be switched on to know when to swap and drop off. It's going to happen on a regular basis, as you mentioned, but Rains and Maguire and the likes are going to have to be really on their game.
Rich soccers it forward, kinesis, goes to ground, comes out, the keep was good. Didn't have much room to move. Good tackle by Kinesis. Plenty of players around the ball. Distracted momentarily by Bird. Adcock did well, controlled a hot potato. Got it off to Maguire. Will load up. Driving ball. Swans defending now. Richards got a good piece of it. Couldn't take it.
Just couldn't quite grab it. Teddy Richards. Geez, he's been a good player since moving from Essendon a number of years ago now, but he's been a fantastic addition to the Swans.
So is Reece Shaw.
Yeah, really good. Reece Shaw and Teddy Richards have had terrific years this year as well.
Well, I think that's a whole discussion in itself to talk about the ability of the Sydney Swans. Swatter and Ruzi, you're both in that bracket as well. Players that have get a second start or transferred up to the Sydney Swans and played probably close to their best football at this venue.
Talking about best football, Adam Goods is in a rich vein as well. Jared McVeigh, good to see him back in the lineup.
Yeah, now we see.
Oh, there's a bit on.
Sean Mummy's given away two and got one, so he's been actively involved in the game so far.
That's where it's going to be a really interesting matchup. As you said earlier, Mumford's second and third efforts in the contest are really good. Leuenberger's around the ground athleticism and leap is equally as good.
And it was on show right there for a big man. Did well to smother the ball on Bird and we'll have it thrown in.
Yeah, they're absolutely very, very different types of ruckman. So it'll be interesting to see who does get on top in that duel today.
If you had a choice, which way would you go, Mumford or Leuenberger?
Oh, Mumford definitely at the moment. I mean, Leuenberger's going to be and he's a good player, but Mumford's probably, in my opinion, is the #1 ruckman in the competition at the moment.
I think it's going to be a long night for me with you two blokes in the box.
And away goes the running man momentarily. Shaw, stabbing ball, finds Parker.
Just on that, Stephen Torbett, the ruck coach, reminded me that he made Adam Goods a Brownlow medalist, Darren Jolly a premiership player, and now Jason Ball a premiership player. Now he's on the way with Mumford. So Stephen Torbett, very, very confident ruck coach.
Richards up towards Spanger. He also had his second home. Slap forward. There you go.
Yeah, that decision, the Sydney Swans runner was in the right way. Was that Stewie Maxfield down there on the pine, just getting in the road?
I don't even think he was on the ground, was he? Did he mean the interchange, Stewart?
So Rains, pumping ball, Richards in front, shark beautifully by Simon Black. Had an open goal square and sprayed it to the east side.
Just pulled that one. Simon Black doesn't kick a heap of goals, usually uses it pretty well.
Oh, there, he could have got a stat, actually. That's Matthew Frost. Real chance to get involved in the game there. Take that. You've got to take that with clean hands if you're the runner and dish that off.
McKeever.
Well, he's got the stat, one free kick against.
Yeah,
doesn't go well.
Doesn't look
in
good.
The super coach.
The Brisbane Lions have done their homework though, Lynchy, because the Swans are having trouble getting it across their half-back line.
Here they are, and that's where I think the midfield pressure's been really good for the Brisbane Lions.
Jack, a fumble. Oh, beautiful slick handballs by McVeigh. Canelli on the ground in his final season of football, and Richards is out. Chipping ball, Matner to the wing. Driving ball, holds up. O'Keefe for wonderful mark. They look to move it on quickly. Brisbane getting numbers back. He goes with a short ball. Spanger.
Yeah, and that's probably the cleanest passage of play we've had so far. Spanger to McGlynn. Really nice play. It all started, I think, with a nice slick handball from McVeigh, and that's what he brings back to this team. He's a really smart player. He sets up really nicely, makes good decisions, and we saw the Swans trademark run out of defence. Some really nice ball use going forward.
Talk about another player at a second club. This is another success story right here. Ben McGlynn, Josh Kennedy, host of players that call Sydney home now. 28 goals is a career high in 2011. That's a miss to get him on the score sheet.
Lions just got away with that one because McGlynn had far too much space inside forward 50 and his direct opponent just dropped off him. So certainly a missed chance for the Sydney Swans.
Disposals 31-16 Sydney's way. Marks 9-0 the Swans dominating in that regard. There's Brisbane's first mark. It goes to Adcock, to Black.
It looks like this early stage, Swatter, that around the stoppages, Brisbane are just trying to get it forward really quickly, so they haven't over-possessed. Probably disposal-wise, it looks lopsided, but it hasn't been that way from a visual point of view watching the game. So
certainly time in forward half would be advantage Brisbane Lions at this stage.
So Black to reload. That's a better delivery, second time round.
That won't help him,
That's not. Hanbury can go to Kennelly. Out of wing. Plenty of time. And low. Gathered by Adam Goods. What a game last week.
Got Ryan O'Keefe stand inside 50 by himself.
Absolutely by himself. Just a bit too much time.
Congested forward 50 for Sydney. Brisbane with a lot of numbers back. Rockcliffe couldn't get a handle on it. Black with a tackle. Might have been high, but not according to the umpire. Rowan. Bouncing ball. Guarding the goal line was Adcock. A little bit too much on the handball for Golby. He's got some time to assess his options. Rockcliffe under pressure in the direction of Black. Warned closely. They prize it free, the Swans. Good tackle on Spanger. Let's go to the Brisbane Lions coaching box and check in with assistant coach to Michael Voss, Jade Rawlings.
Yeah, Jade, just looks like out of stoppages you're trying to quick kick it. Is that a tactic you want to employ going into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Last time we played against the Swans, we found as though we couldn't win the ball at all, and then we got gobbled up really quickly once we won it. But we feel as though we're going to compete in close really well at the start here. We just haven't capitalised and had the ball in our hands out in the open.
Yeah, just with Goodsy, obviously Rains was set for him, but the problem with Adam is he does go midfield forward, so it's been a little bit hard for you to get that match-up right.
Yeah, we just thought it looked too dangerous as soon as he took him back to the square, so he's our preference to try and get to him if he can in the right parts of the ground, so we looked to change that pretty quickly.
Thanks, Jade. We'll let you get back to more important duties at the moment. Really appreciate Brisbane allowing us access to their coach's box. Sydney through Melcheski. Darting ball to Shaw. Couldn't find it. Black. Inventive handball. Richards went high. No whistle. And Sydney have the corridor with possession. And White. Goods will arrive late. Big leap!
Oh.
Wonderful mark.
That's why he's such a dangerous player, Ruzi, and you've seen it firsthand for a number of years. Can be dominant in the midfield, but he's such a hard athlete to match up on because he runs well and he's got that fantastic leap when he goes to the full forward spot.
Yeah, look, if his contested marking's on song, it is a little bit hard. You know, if you're a midfielder, it's hard to always practice your contested marking. But when his contested marking's on song, he's really unstoppable because he can go and have a breather at full forward. And we saw there just a really nice leap, nice timing, good pair of hands.
Lining up for his second goal, directly in front. Kick is good.
All being equal, Ruzi, Adam Goods, has he got a best position, or is his best position the fact that he can play anywhere at any minute of the game?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, if you had a chocker forward team full of talent, where would you like to play?
I think his best football's probably been played in the midfield. You know, because he runs, he carries, he gets involved in the game. But as I said, when he adds this to his game, if he can go forward and take marks, he's a very, very dangerous forward.
2 goals this afternoon for Adam Goods. He'll play game number 300 next week against St Kilda. And he doesn't show any signs of slowing down either.
I think the thing is, Swatter, the fact that he can go forward and he's such a big man, there's no reason why he couldn't play for another 4 or 5 years. Even if you lose a little bit of pace, if he can catch it and grab it at full forward. I mean, Lynchy was obviously a full-back, full forward and played, but if he can go deep, he's still got some nice pace. I don't see any reason why he can't play for another 4 or 5 years.
Frightening.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been a wonderful player over a long period of time. 34 goals, 31 for the year. Adam Goods led the way last week. Black, kick was smothered. Putting a lot of work into Simon Black. Such an important player. Comes to Polkinghorne. Black's out the back door here. Needs a kind bounce. May get it. Doesn't have the turn of foot that McVeigh does. Was that ridden into the back? No. McVeigh ties it up. Ball eventually comes free. They're good at extracting it, the Swans. But into the path of McGrath. Another terrific tackle by Malcheski. Hard work for Brisbane. Let's have a bounce.
Yeah, again, Al, that tactic's working, kicking it out. They just probably haven't had the forward in front yet to capitalise it, but I really like their tactic. Get it out really nice and quickly and put some pressure on the Swan defenders.
Congested forward 50. Cornelius over the top. Reaching tap into the path by Bird. Richards. Hanbury. Good smother by Richards again. McGrath. Throw. Smith. McVeigh. Did well to spot the handball to Malcheski. Spearing ball. Spanger just hesitated, then waited, and handballs to himself. Foot race with McKeever. Did well. Great work by Spanger. High ball. Brisbane with numbers getting back. Rowan. Adcock ran past it. Kennedy with the tackle. Goes again. Gets it. Gives it off to O'Keefe. Wrong-sided. Unguarded goal square. Rockcliffe, unkind bounce. Did well. Bolton knows no other way. Head over the ball, wheels around. Kick is a goal.
The Sydney Swans certainly make the most of their efforts and getting reward for the disposals that they've had. The double disposal count against the Brisbane Lions, and here's a nice bit of work from Spanger. Just put the handball out in front to back himself against McKeever and turn him around and put it to a dangerous spot. And it was a bit of a scrubby kick, but into a dangerous position and a very ordinary bounce for, I think it was Rockcliffe there. And a nice little goal to Jude Bolton.
Yeah, if you want to know why our game's just a tad unpredictable, Al, let's bounce. Swatter's just gone straight up in the air and straight over his head.
And that happens when it's not going your way, you get the ordinary bounce.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And incredibly, he's only missed 4 games since round 9 of 2002, Jude Bolton. He's had a great run, debuted round 12, 1999. Brisbane to half forward. So McGrath goes wide and early. Shaw marks that.
That's we talked about that pre-game, Al, just not having that big forward to be able to just bomb it into. That kick there, really shallow kick, just about didn't even break the 50-metre. But unfortunately, that's what they're going to have to do today, is just really try and slot it around as the Swans do put numbers behind the ball as it goes past the centre of the ground.
Comes to Polkinghorne, did well to break the tackle, got a handball away. It's an unguarded goal square, it's a good kick, and that's a beautiful bounce.
And that's a nice goal from Jack Redden. Very handy goal. And that's where we spoke pre-game about it's going to be really difficult to find avenues to goal. Redden, Rockcliffe, Black, these sort of players are going to have to manufacture goals from stoppages around that top of that 50-metre arc because they are reliant on the leading targets, small leading targets of Carnesis and Cornelius mainly. Retzlaff's into the team with Ash McGrath. So it's going to be hard for those guys to take marks on the lead. So they're going to have to find these crumbing goals. So well done from Jack Redden.
Well, there's one all in the bounce stakes too. One over the top to Jude Bolton, and then one goes right angles for a goal. So we can call that square now.
Played every game this year, Jack Redden. And he gets his first goal for the afternoon. Polkinghorne's been busy. Lays off a handball to Hanley. He's been a shining light and a disappointing year for Brisbane as well. Richards to himself, disguised it well enough.
Yeah, it's been a pretty even start so far, even though disposal 63-37. You mentioned a couple of times, but it looks a pretty even game at the moment.
But the thing is, Ruzi, very different to last week. We see the Brisbane Lions clearances 10-4, where the Sydney Swans last week were outstanding in that facet of the game.
Kennelly. Quick handball off to O'Keefe, to Goods, carries the pack.
Yeah, I think Al, if you're not overusing, sometimes around a clearance you can get 3 or 4 handballs, which makes it really hard. What the Brisbane Lions are doing well, as soon as they get a player that gets his hands on it, he just sinks the slipper into it.
Yeah.
And that's why they're pretty one-sided at the moment. The Swans just haven't been able to get first possession around those clearances.
Smother off the boot was good by Kennelly. Spills to O'Keefe. Kennedy linking up nicely. Parker couldn't find the target. Comes to Hanley. He'll thump it inside 50. Kinesis staying down. Doesn't matter, McGrath. That was a well-judged mark by Patrick Kinesis.
And we saw that around the stoppage. The Swans overused a handball there and eventually turned it over. So there's the different styles and contrast around the stoppages. Swans trying to use their hands, maybe use an extra number around there. Brisbane get it and just quick kick it forward. That's a really nice mark too.
Talented young player, Paddy Kinesis.
Has got his first goal. That's 16 for the year in game number 11.
He's been a fantastic addition to the forward line since he came in. Since he debuted, I don't think he's missed a game. And he, with McKeever, about the only players that have debuted and stayed in the side for the entirety. But we see this, as you said, over possession in a congested area from the Sydney Swans again causes a turnover. And that's where things are breaking down at the moment. Under pressure, long bomb in. Kinesis were able to go back. Didn't get a hand in the back, but just nudged his direct opponent under the ball. It's a very nice mark.
Kicked 2 goals in 6 of his 10 games coming into this match this afternoon. He's been a real fine Patrick Kinesis, and more importantly, his opening goal gets Brisbane the lead. They're up by 2 points.
Yeah, I think that's a true reflection of the game at the moment. Just a really close game. 3 goals to 3. So Lions are doing really well at the moment.
Clearance again to Polkinghorne. Good attempt by McGrath. But the Swans are out. Kick is good to the outer wing. Spanger.
Nice lead and nice use to hit Spanger from McVeigh.
26 games with the Eagles between 2008 and 2010. High ball inside 50. Maguire did well. Read it, left his man, affected the spoil. Hanley.
He started off the game really well, Spang. He looks pretty comfortable. He mainly played down back for the West Coast Eagles, but he actually looks a pretty comfortable forward. He keeps leading at the ball, and that's what the Swans will want him to do today. Just keep working hard, and he's led up really nicely.
Pick 34 in the 2005 National Draft. Spanger. Hanbury involved, lays it off. Malcheski wrong-sided. Centering ball. McKeever the spoil. Brisbane with Rich. Looks at Hanley. No damage done. Rich to mop up. Still up. Heads to the outer side. Kinesis. One out. It's a very good mark. Well done by Alex Johnson. After McVeigh darts out of trouble and goes wide with a good kick.
Yeah, he's such a good decision maker, McVeigh. Looks like he's playing off a half-back flank, and he did that against St Kilda a couple of weeks ago and really cut them up. He's just got a really good ability to change the angles, make a smart decision in traffic, and a nice finish there to Ryan O'Keefe.
Averaging 22 disposals in 2011, including the season high 31 twice, round 1 against Melbourne and round 16 against Gold Coast. So to get the lead back, beautiful Sydney afternoon. To the Paddington end, kick is to the near side.
She's pulled that one.
He's been in good form, Ryan O'Keefe, again the last couple of weeks. Certainly their senior players and their leaders are really standing up at the right end of the season.
Absolutely, and they all appear to be fit at the moment, so that's a really important factor going into the last month of the season.
And the Lions would like to see a fit Josh Drummond in 2012 as well. Interrupted season, big leap by Richards. Spectacular grab on the second attempt.
I reckon he's the second attempt he was laying on his back, so that was a really good mark in the circumstances.
Kick comes inboard by Hanbury. Couldn't get the target. Rains. The reload to Rich. It's a stabbing kick. It'll be play on to Richards. It's a handball into the path of where he wanted McVeigh to run and goes back and gets his own ball. Well done by Teddy Richards, and that's not.
No, that's not. Neither was the other turnover in the corridor. Again, they're just at the moment, the Swans are continually turning the ball over in dangerous positions.
Yeah, I think that was Dan Hanbury, Lynch, that kicked the slaughter through the middle of the ground, and then Teddy'd like to have that one back again. When the 8th throw at the stand, I think it knocked the pie out of someone's hand.
Well, that's the equation for James Hawksley. Tough angle. for the lead again. Kick is not bad at all. Easy as that. Brisbane get the lead or retain it.
I think you can tell by the crowd noise or lack of noise that went through late. Nice little fade to the right, and certainly the Brisbane Lions are capitalising on the errant disposal at the moment of the Sydney Swans. And it's not so much that they're going at a very low rate. They're going by foot by 61%, but mistakes like this, Teddy Richards on the left, as we said, have been a very good and experienced defender, but just to make a mistake at that stage of the game and that position on the ground is not good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful finish from the boundary line, though, wasn't it? Just worked its way back nicely. Great goal from Hawksley. Yeah, I think you're right, Al. It's really not they're turning it over that often, the Swans. It's just where they're turning it over through the middle of the ground. And obviously, if you're going to kick it out of bounds in the full in your defensive 50, it's fraught with danger.
Brisbane out by 7. Swooping on it was Bolton. Towards half forward, Kennedy. Spoiled by Adcock. Goods arrives late. Great speed, good composure. High ball, Spanger. Bounces in front of he and Jesse White. Will have it tossed in inside Sydney's forward 50.
So that disposal count at the moment is 83-48, and that's in favour of the Sydney Swans. So obviously not reflective of the scoreboard.
And let's not forget, Sydney must win and hope that Carlton can get a hold of St Kilda tonight, and they'll host a home final here to kick off week 1 of the finals. Season high 22 disposals, 39 hit-outs, and laid 7 tackles against the Cats last week at Skilled Stadium. A towering figure for the Swans. And to drag it back to a 1-point deficit. Not on this occasion.
Wasn't probably the best drop out of the right mitt, Ruzi?
No, it wasn't great. He's got a good capacity now to draw free kicks though at stoppages because he's such a big, strong guy. We saw that last week with Ottens, and he got a free kick at a forward stoppage. So that's going to be a bit of a concern for Voss and his coaching staff. Not for their young ruckman to give away free kicks to him.
Cornelius the fly. Steve Talbot not a noted goal kicker though in his playing days, though, Ruzi?
Yeah, Steve would tell you that he gave a lot off though.
To the opposition, I think. But this is where it's going to the Brisbane Lions are going to be really vulnerable. The times when McKeever, as a tall young centre half back, has to go into the ruck against Mumford, who seems to be going for a big percentage of games these days. McKeever's going to just have to hang on.
Yeah, it's a massive worry, McKeever versus Mumford. We can see now Jesse White's coming to the ruck, so there'll be a bit of relief. Mumford's gone to full forward, so a bit of relief in the Lions coaching box.
Front and square, Bolton. Strong tackle on him by Redden.
That's it. They've certainly been stretched, and the retirement of Charman, who's out now. Mitch Clark was the backup ruckman. Staker was probably the next ruckman in line, but McKeever, who's been pretty good at centre half back, is just forced to play in a different role.
A lot of players around the stoppage. McVeigh to Goods. Did really well, kept his hands free. Got it to Matner. Won't be a mark. Parker. Adcock put his body on the line. So did Hanbury. Some bright young talent on display there. Parker on Rich into the back.
Yeah, good. 2 good young kids for the Swans, and obviously Rich as well. So 3 really good young kids at the footy there. Hanbury went at it hard, Parker went at it hard, Rich went at it hard. So good contest.
It's had a great year, Pierce Hanley. Alistair?
Yeah, he's probably been the find of the season for the Brisbane Lions. His run off half back has been extremely good. Loves to take on the tackler, bounces the ball, and with respect for an Irishman, uses the ball really well.
Had to on that occasion. Brisbane under enormous pressure, but they're out. Used their get out of jail card on that occasion. Poor kick. Kicked off by Matner. Under 2 minutes to play the opening term. It's been a pretty good one from a Brisbane point of view.
Yeah, it certainly has. And again, I think tactically they've been very, very good. We've talked already a couple of times about low disposals, but that's by intent from the Brisbane Lion coaching staff. We heard from Jade Rawlings, and he mentioned they did want to just get it quickly out of the stoppages and get it going forward, and it certainly worked for them at this stage.
Drummond, looping handball, all of 20 metres, well made by Redden. Got it to Rockcliffe, up to Retzlaff. Couldn't get a handle on it properly. Neither could Hanbury. This will be interesting. He's in trouble.
I think he did dive on it, but I don't think he had it. So
you can't dive on it. Doesn't matter whether you have it these days. Just if you dive on it or fall on it, you're in trouble.
So Brisbane to half forward. High leap from Johnson, but the ball was out of field.
I always wondered where that rule came in, that if you can't actually hold it into the opponent, you're going to get pinged. But I don't know whether that's still in or not, whether they're just scrubbed that out of the rule book.
I think that was scrubbed. It was discussed for about a season, but haven't seen it in play for a while.
One of the 5 that you wrote about today, Ruzi.
No, I could have written about another 5 though. I ran out of words.
Kick is good to Smith. Chipping ball to Rowan. It's got some toe, but went to ground. Good work by Hanley, didn't infringe. Goes back with the tackle again. Bird tries to bullock his way through. Rains is skirting the pack. Sheldon over the top.
Inside 50s, 13-11 in favour of the Brisbane Lions. Once again, not reflective of the disposal count, which is Brisbane only at 60% of the Sydney Swans disposals.
They're doing well to get a clean possession. A lot of players around the ball. It comes to Shaw. He'll pump it inside 50. 24 seconds on the clock. Up towards Spanger. Unkind bounce again. Swooping on it, Parker. Still got time. Centering ball. Needs a target coming his way. Right in the bump was Maguire. Support from Hawksley. Standing up really well, the Brisbane Lions. They'll see out quarter time, possibly with no more damage done. Marked by Retzlaff. And the Brisbane Lions win the first quarter at the SCG. Swans looking to get a home final. Must win today. Carlton need the top of the Saints. And the first quarter out of the way. It's Brisbane 4-3-27. Sydney 3-3-21. But they hold a slender lead. Sydney must win. And hope that Carlton can beat St Kilda to host a home final in a week's time. Munford gets things underway. Would have cleaned up his teammate Jack, but he just bounces off. Ball bobs around, it comes to Goods. Fires the handball to Rowan. Into traffic. Pressure by Brisbane. Off to O'Keefe. Off to Hanbury. Kick is very wide.
Yeah, once again, just that extra handball again. You know, it's probably on, but at this stage, it's been a real concern for them. They've just won too many handballs, and it's, you know, they tended to turn the ball over, whereas Brisbane are just getting it and kicking it longer into their forward line.
And Brisbane must take some credit for that because of the pressure they're putting on the ball carrier. They're being rushed with that next possession and not executing their skills well or picking the right option.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's a bad tactic from the Swans. You're right. I think it's just the fact of the moment. Brisbane are right in the game defensively.
Leuenberger and Mumford. John Longmire talking about Mumford's influence at ground level. Have you seen Matt Maguire's year, Alistair?
I think it was a slow start and he's toiled away under pressure very well. He reads the ball well. I mean, he's not lightning over the ground these days, but he's an experienced player, knows when to drop off his direct opponent and support his teammates. So I think he's battled away pretty well.
So when you get back the likes of Daniel Merritt and Joel Patfull, you should have a reasonably strong back six.
Well, I think ideally, if they can you put two experienced defenders back in to support Matt Maguire, I think you're on the right track. And you've got to remember, one of their key defenders over the last few years, but struggled with injuries, Josh Drummond as well. So their first back six has really not been there for most of the year.
Goods, outstanding handball to Mumford, swooped on by Jude Bolton. He's got one. That's maybe second.
And Brucey, that's a group of players you really want to have in place. Your back six, because they're under an enormous amount of pressure. They have to work week in, week out well together. So you need that continuity in game time.
Yeah, I think you can hang in games if you've got injuries to your forwards and your mids, but it's very, very difficult to hang in games if you're consistently losing defenders, because as we know now, particularly as defensive structures are so important. If you can consolidate your back six, you can maybe get away with one or two up the field, but you're absolutely right. As soon as that's disrupted, it makes it really hard.
Disappointing for Brisbane. They were away there. Confusion between Hawksley and Pearce. Free kick to McGlynn. Spanger in front. Brings it back down. Went back and gathered his own ball and then wrapped up with a strong tackle on McKeever.
I think too, Maguire's probably more comfortable, Lynchy, is that centre half back sort of dropping off heavy, helping out.
Yeah.
Look, there's a poor tackle there. I mean, he's never been a super quick player, but he's always been a really good reader of the ball.
Yeah, spot on.
Kennedy read it well. Goods to White on the half volley. Likely to get down perhaps a bit better than that. Too much on the handball to Pearce. A couple of fumbles from Pearce Hanley. Maguire, spoken about him. Another recycled player in Rains. Loops the handball towards McGrath. Feed it back to Rains. Another fumble. They try to work it towards half forward now. That's well done by Sheldon. Good gather, Cornelius. Steadies, goes back. That's a bad kick. White got a handball away. Opens up the door for the Swans. Melcheski under pressure to Smith. The run from McVeigh. Just sliced his way through. It's a downfield free kick, and that is poor. Advantage. Doesn't come any easier, Jude Bolton. Swans back in the lead.
Well, that was one I did write about, Swatter, and that's the advantage rule. So the whistle blew then. The Brisbane Lion player absolutely stopped dead in his tracks.
Well, you might as well talk about it now, because this will be the last home and away game we'll see that rule.
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, it's just an absolute shambles. There's no question about that. I mean, it's silly play here. I'm not too sure who pushes McVeigh in the back here.
But just Rockcliffe.
Just late. You can see here, he's actually turned around, waited. Doesn't know where the free kick is. Kicks a goal.
So for the benefit of those that haven't read your article, you think it should go back to the old way?
Yeah, look, to be fair to them, I think everyone thought let's try it this way, but it hasn't panned out anywhere near as well as what we sort of thought. It's certainly around stoppages. Guys are just stopping because of the umpire's whistle, and that's creating the advantage. You see Jude Bolton in front. Nice quick kick from Joey Kennedy.
Well, he's not stopping. He continues to work hard, and that's a great kick to Spanger.
That's 50.
Is that 50?
Yeah, that's 50. But that's what hasn't been happening for the Sydney Swans. That was first possession, quickly on the boot to a forward that's in front, then a nice lace-out pass. So that was what the Swans need to execute on more occasions. So Noel McKeever just a little late on that one into the contest and gave away the 50-metre penalty.
Just unravelling here a bit, the Brisbane Lions. Sydney out to a 7-point lead.
I think Al McKeever would have given away a double 50.
Yeah, he was.
Had the ball not been on the line. I'm not sure whether we've got that on tape, but not only... And you're right here, I think this would have been spoken about at quarter time. Don't overuse the ball, which they've been done. Quick kick from Joey Kennedy. I'm sure they would have addressed that. Really nice. Should have been 50 there on Jude Bolton too. Someone ran through the mark. Just here, just late, just a small nudge.
Yeah, not a lot in it, but it is the rules if you're not in the marking contest.
Perfect start to the Swans, the opening 2 goals, and they're out by 7 points. Spanger gets his first for the afternoon. Goods and Bolton have got 2 apiece. Mumford and Leuenberger. Leuenberger decidedly to Rockcliffe. Rains. Rockcliffe again. The legs of Black. Working hard to find some space, Simon Black. Swans doing a number. Comes to Simon Black, and Reece Shaw goes to him. Black goes to ground at an important stage. Kieran Drack tries to find a handball. Got it to McGlynn. Too much on that one for Bolton. Comes to Shaw, loves to run. Decides to kick. Into space. Jesse White and Maguire. Maguire pushes White out of the way. White to get back and put pressure. Good composure by Maguire. Dances his way from Jesse White. Did well, did really well, and got it to Rich.
He has, certainly. Very good bit of patience. He was under pressure, but to come around on the left and at least get it up the boundary line in the end, it was a very good result getting to Rich.
Recommitted along with Matthew Leuenberger earlier in the year. And a good mark by Teddy Richards. Well, comes up for possession number 10, Lynchy.
Yeah, well, depending on whether we count that as an inside 50 for Brisbane, or it might be here in a minute, but 5-0 in favour of the Sydney Swans in this term.
Good pressure by McGrath. Needs to be careful. Run down by Parker. And he plays on. The young man, driving ball, middle of the ground. Spanger will think about a leap. And it was good. No, he couldn't take the mark. Ground level ball, almost by default, went to handball, went back and got it. And nearly made something out of nothing.
Yeah, we saw John Longmire give him a bit of a rev up at quarter time, the Swans, and they've certainly responded. There's no question. The start, first 5 minutes of this quarter, the Swans are now all over Brisbane, you mentioned. I'm not sure whether maybe might have got the 49 3/4 inches that last kick inside, so may have been an inside 50.
No, we'll give them donuts for that one. So it's 6 blot, but also the clearances are turned around, which were dominated by the Brisbane Lions in the first term. 4-1 in favour of the Swans.
And they'll reload again. Parker to Hanbury. Rowan hit the ground. Play on, bounce.
Is he your quickest man over 20 metres or 100 metres, Ruzi?
Apparently Adam Goods got him over the 20. So Goodsy was 2.88 or 2.89. So
okay,
and that's why Adam's in very good form. But no, Gary Rowan, very quick player.
Reigns, Goods' opponent, got it to Hanley.
That's what you tend to, viewers at home might appreciate. A lot of the bigger blokes are lightning over 20 metres. Just as we blow out to around the 30, 40, 50, getting towards 100, we'll hit a house.
McVeigh spins out of trouble, couldn't get boot to ball. Rockcliffe, slick handball, Redden. Hanley, relieving kick for the moment. Hanbury can't get there. Attacking it was Kinesis. Dancing through trouble was Johnson. Slick handball by Kennelly. Hanbury, Smith, centering ball, perfect.
They're putting a lot more pressure on them now, the Swans, and not overusing the ball anywhere near as much. Just notice a few times when they've got it out in the open now, they're really trying to put pressure on the Brisbane defence and getting it in. Jude Bolton started this quarter very, very nicely.
They have, yeah. The quality of ball going inside 50 certainly put the back six for the Brisbane Lions under enormous amount of pressure.
Inside 50s, 8-zip Sydney's way, and Jude Bolton has 3 goals, and Sydney extend the lead.
Yeah, look what Jude does really, really well. If he had been 6'4", Al, he would have been an outstanding centre-half forward, because every time you go forward with him, what he does, he gets in front, he's prepared to lead, and he actually can take a good mark for his size. And we're seeing here, the start of it is just a bit of pressure coming on that kick coming out. Now, not a great bounce. Hands again. Nice hands again. And into space now, just putting into a real dangerous area. And Jude does that really well. He leads and marks nicely.
3 goals to Jude Bolton. Sydney lead by 14 points with just under 10 to play this second term.
Ryan O'Keefe's another one that finds space well in the forward 50 as well and seems to take a good mark on the lead. Yeah,
they do. We've got a couple of midfielders now that can really go forward, or vice versa. I mean, you've got Adam Goods, you've got Ryan O'Keefe, you've got Jude Bolton. Benny McGlynn's a good forward too now, pushed up in the midfield. So it's a really handy thing to have, particularly with the new sub rule.
Reigns started it and looks to get involved again. Goes to the goal square. It's a wrestling match. Ball still alive. Johnson into the path of Hanbury. Arriving late, Redden, Polkinghorne with the fend, kept it alive. Not before it went out of bounds.
Out of bounds on the full there, or a free kick.
Kennedy takes the kick from Hanbury. So Kennedy's kick is poor, out of bounds. Let's check in with Jade Rawlings, assistant coach with Michael Voss in the Brisbane coaching box. Jade, the disappointing start in the second quarter?
Yeah, very disappointing. It's been 80%, I think, game time in the forward half for Sydney so far, and we've made the very, very simple look very, very difficult. So it's finding it hard to coach those little things at the moment.
You're just getting opened up from the clearances. A big reverse of the trend in the first quarter where you were very good in that stoppage situation, but they're getting some quality ball out of the stoppages.
Yeah, just that last one inside 50, I think McVeigh was whipping through by himself, and it just puts us under one man down all the time, and it's getting our forwards dragged down a bit too far, and then when we do win the footy, we've no one to kick to. So the structural setups are the ones at the moment we're trying to really tighten up, so we're half a chance around the ball.
And with that quality ball, that's putting your back six. You look after the back six under enormous amount of pressure, so there's some quality ball, and your opponents are finding space in your defensive 50.
Yeah, they are. Like Spanger got that good kick on the lead, and McKeever just unnecessarily gives away 50. Bolton bobs up a second ago, he spat out of a stoppage by himself, and it's an easy uncontested mark. So we're just right on the back foot. We'd ready the ball and control it for a good 30-40 seconds, so we actually get set behind the ball again.
All right, thanks, Jade. All the best for the rest of the game.
Thanks,
mate.
boys.
Sydney by 14 points. Ball on the outer wing. Swans have kicked the opening 3 goals of this quarter, and Brisbane finished the first quarter kicking the last 3 goals of that term. They led by 6 points. And John Wallmeyer, animated at quarter time, would be reasonably happy with what he's seen thus far. Black couldn't find the ball, slipped. Jesse White spins in of trouble, got boot to ball. Hawksley to Rich, we know he can thump it. Ran his full measure, driving ball, picked off by Matt.
Good play by Marty, man. Just play in front, watch the ball. A lot of players turn their back in that situation, but really good effort by Marty to keep his eyes on the ball, and not a great kick from Rich.
Still up. Kept it in, got it to Hawksley. Arriving late was Parker. Golby a fair bit of pressure. Pearce did well. Oh, great evasiveness. No room to move, but he found some space. Still up. Chipping ball to Redden. Float a handball down the line to Retzlaff. Goes to ground. O'Keefe tackled by Rich. Couldn't find the target. Sheldon absorbed by Kennelly. Now we'll have it tossed in.
Yeah, that was well done by Sam Sheldon. That was as deliberate as you'd like to take the ball over the boundary line, but he really needed to do it. The Swans had plenty of numbers around that situation.
Plenty of Michael Voss to think about. His team's down by 14 points. 12 played. Second term. Jack. Clearing kick. Drummond.
It's a bit of a nil-all draw. I think it's Kieran Jack versus Simon Black at the moment. It's 2 possessions to 5. So both players not really getting involved in the game. But obviously the Swans have put a lot of time into Black over the years.
And here goes Hanley. Scrubs the kick to half forward. Kinesis. Ground level ball. Eludes him. Kennelly. What a wonderful player he's been, and that's as deliberate as it comes.
Yeah, but you're allowed to get away with that one. I think there was a lot of confusion about that interpretation at the start of the year, but certainly common sense has prevailed now.
Well, they make hard work of it. Good pressure by Rich. Fired the handball forward. Here's a chance. Golby, a rare entry inside 50 for Brisbane. Won't carry the line. Rush behind.
Yeah, at least they're starting to get momentum back at Brisbane. They've had a couple of the last inside 50s. They're starting to win a few around the stoppages and getting back in this game.
Matner to himself. Melchesky.
They could be in trouble here if they move the ball on quickly.
Got Rowan into some space and a bit of room to move. Ignores that. Goes further afield to Goods, and why wouldn't you?
Well, again, a difficult matchup. Goods goes forward. He's got Adcock.
He'll arc around. Watch for Spanger. Beautiful movement. Wonderful kick. And a nice mark.
We saw Marty Matner down the other end, Al, not take his eyes off the ball against the bigger opponent. What we saw then with Adcock was completely different. Took his eyes off the ball against a bigger opponent. Rather than going to the football, he was in front Adcock, swiveled his head, and then all of a sudden Goods got in front of him. So you've just got to back yourself to go and win the football.
He's played the last 2 weeks, 11 possessions and a goal against Geelong in last week's memorable win. He's got 1 goal this afternoon. He now has 2. Sydney extended again.
It's just a dangerous situation now for the Brisbane Lions in the last 10 minutes of this first half, and Spanger's certainly finding some space forward, but this is really good quick ball movement. The one that got to Adam Goods, as we described, Jed Adcock just looked a little bit at sea, and he was obviously conscious about the height and weight he was giving away to Adam Goods, but then move the ball on quickly, and that's all the forward can ask. Get the ball in quick and give me a one-on-one contest, and hopefully it's weighted to the advantage of the forward, which on that occasion it was.
Yeah, I really like Spanger's game so far. He's played a traditional sort of centre-half forward role, which is hard to do on the SCG because it's not a big ground, but he's moving up, he's leading towards the ball. We saw in that case, he opened the space up behind him, led back into space. He's kicked 2 goals and had a really solid start to this game.
They lead by 18 points at the 16-minute mark of the second quarter. Kicked all 4 goals in this term. Tackle on McVeigh by Rockcliffe. Tough day at the office for Simon Black. O'Keefe, Kennelly, good work by Redden. In fact, it's Sheldon, and equally by Kennelly on the second attempt. Willing contest.
Yeah, that was a good effort by Kennelly, just to pry the ball clear, chased him down. Good contest. 195
games for Ty Kennelly. 2005 Premiership player, 2009 All-Ireland medalist. Comes to Hawksley, tries to get it to Black. Goes again, Simon Black. What a wonderful player he's been. Melchesky was good. Got it back from Mumford. Spins into trouble. McLean, look at the numbers for Sydney. They muscle it free. They did it really well. Got it to McVeigh. He'll go inside 50. Maguire read it well. Needs a good bounce. Matt Maguire didn't get one. It sat up. It allowed Parker to come into the contest. Arriving late with some support from Maguire, and Brisbane see it out.
Just on Black, Richie, how do you rate him in comparison to Voss and Ackermanis and Lappin and guys like that? I mean, he's had a terrific career.
Over the course of his career, I think he has to be in that top bracket of all-time greats at the Brisbane Lions. There's no doubt about that. He's right up there with Michael Voss. I think 1 Brownlow and a couple of runners-up. Been an unbelievable player.
Spanger, a big leap, almost had it.
think what's put a stamp on his career too is the last couple of years the Lions have struggled. He's still been the one constant. He just keeps playing well. So he's not just a player that plays well in a good team. He's been a player that's played well in a team that's struggled also.
For 10 years, he has set up the Brisbane Lions midfield with that first possession and the way he uses it. And he's one of those guys that just doesn't get knocked off the ball, doesn't kick him like that very often as well, but he uses the ball well by hand and foot.
Yeah, I think his skill level is horribly underrated. He's one of the best sort of 20 to 40 metre kicks I think the game's seen for a long time.
It's not a bad spot kick from Shaw, darts the ball to McGlynn.
He's not a penetrating kick, but uses it well.
And Adam Goods has found some room to move.
Speaking of using it well, he's just
nice kick.
Some nice use, and the athleticism Goods on the lead. Very hard for Reigns to stop on that occasion. Once again, struggling with the matchups. Joel Patfull, who's injured at the moment, would be the obvious matchup because he can go into the midfield if needed, but also defend in the forward 50 if needed.
To get it out to an even 4-goal lead, Adam Goods makes the journey easy. 3 goals to Adam Goods.
I've always felt when Adam's in really good form, I don't think there's anyone that can play him, and that's the difficulty from an opposition coach's point of view, because there's not many guys that are 6'4", 6'5", that are natural midfielders that can also go back, Al. And you mentioned Patfull's done a job a couple of times on him, done well, but also been caned a few times also. I mean, it is a very, very difficult player to match up on, and when he's in very good form, he is impossible to play on.
Averaging 17 disposals in his 23 matches against Brisbane, a career-high 28 possessions and 2 goals, 1 round 6, 2006. 3 goals this afternoon for Adam Goods, Jude Bolton with 3 and Matt Spanger, the former Eagle, with 2. Brisbane, they've hit a wall. Kennedy, clearing kick. High ball, Rowan in front, White the gather, back to Rowan. Malcheski looking for goal number 5. It's a bouncing ball, it's in the book.
Well, again there, Ruzi, first possession was a kick into the forward 50. Certainly the clearance numbers have picked up for the Sydney Swans, but it's the way they've used it. It was Leuenberger's tap down, but first possession has just been driven long into the forward 50. Now, it's a difficult one for anyone to mark, but if you can get the ball in quick and you can be predictable to get the contest and get the ball to the front, you can get crumbing goals like Malcheski was in the right position and a very nice snap.
Yeah, I think we're seeing what match day coaching is all about at the moment. In the first quarter, the Swans were overusing the handball around the stoppages. So the midfield coach and obviously John Longmire, stoppage coach, I'd be staggered to think they didn't talk to them at quarter time and say, guys, we've got to just quick kick it into our forward line. We've seen Joey Kennedy a couple of times when he's had a chance to actually, facing away from the Swans goal, generally he'd use that by hand. He's just screwed it over his head and got it deep into the forward 50. 6
unanswered goals to the Swans. 30-point lead. Brisbane in all sorts of trouble.
Well, they are. It's just been a really difficult period of time now. I mean, that's 6 goals on the trot for the Sydney Swans.
So Simon Black has had it 5 times. He put a lot of work into him. Rowan attacked it, did well. Malcheski and on the action again. Too much carry on the ball for White. Maguire dropped the mark. Good work by Jesse White.
Yeah, once again, I think it was Marty Matner there, not overusing it, just banging it in, putting pressure on. And certainly the defence of the Brisbane Lions are under siege at the moment.
21 3/4 minutes played of this second term. It's been all Sydney. And they'll watch closely tonight, providing they get the job done here against Brisbane. Carlton taking on St Kilda. And the Swans need Carlton to win. If that's the case, they will host the Saints back at ANZ Stadium, something they did really well 2 weeks ago.
Could actually beat SCG, which might be a win for the Sydney Swans.
Goods
again.
Through traffic, sprays it.
Yeah, the stoppage situation has turned right around, and you mentioned Josh Kennedy before, Ruzi. He's had 8 disposals in this term, 7 of those contested. But Goods is just on the move at the stoppages, so really hard to man up on.
Yeah, I watched Reigns the stoppage before that as well, and Goods did exactly the same thing, but what Reigns didn't do was adjust. There's no point in standing next to him or behind him because he's actually running through the stoppages.
Short ball by Maguire. Adcock. Leading possession winner for Brisbane, Pierce Hanley with 12, then 10 to Rich, Rockcliffe and Hawksley. Best on the ground is Dan Hanbury with 14. Adcock with a high ball, Mumford the spoil on Leuenberger. Shark by McGrath. Acrobatic attempt by Rowan, went high. McGrath fired it to Redden. Left foot kick down the line, Retzlaff. Good spoil by Alex Johnson. Did really well in the absence of Heath Grundy. And he sees it out.
That was good spoil from Johnson. He was right on the tail of Retzlaff, who pushed up on a long lead. And just a little nudge in the back as well to put that body pressure on the forward.
Munford got rid of Leuenberger. Shark by Rich, and he's swamped by Shaw and stripped by O'Keefe. They're really starting to click into gear now, the Swans. Good spoil by McKeever. Big clash, hard at it by Jude Bolton. He is a warrior.
Yeah, it was a great contest from Bolton, and Pierce Hanley went straight at it as well.
Just out of interest, Roosie, the SCG ANZ Stadium, you'd favour ANZ, wouldn't you?
What's that? ANZ?
Home final?
Well, it's supposed to be played there, but I know the players are very concerned about the surface. I think the AFL is as well. So I think there's also the NRL got first dibs on the ground also. So, yeah, you'd like to think if they're playing at ANZ, they're going to present it a lot better than what they have a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Would certainly favour the Swans if the home final was here.
Oh.
That's a bad kick.
And that, speaking of favouring the Swans, Swatter, that kick favoured the Swans.
Absolutely, and it's 35 metres out, dead in front, and that is not where you want to make the mistake. So that's a kicking error, but it's also there's a choice error there as well. Go a bit longer than that.
So Gary Rowan saved his best performance this year to last week. 12 possessions, 2 goals against the Cats. A blistering goal running away from Paul Chapman at Skilled Stadium. He can do it on the run. Can he do it with a set shot? Yes, he can. Sydney have got 7 in the turn.
Well, we saw a great goal from Gary Rowan last week. And, you did a lot of our games last year, and he played a bit of half back in the seconds, and we saw some of the most scintillating runs we've ever seen at the SCG by this lad. Watch it here. Really good vision, this. Fantastic vision. And I think your point before, it wasn't so much a bad kick, it was a bad decision, Al, because Rowan was always just going to slide across in front of that kick. He was only 5 metres away, so not the execution, the actual decision was terrible.
7 goals to Sydney in this second term. They trailed by 6 points at quarter time. And they are currently out by an even 6 goals.
Second year in the AFL for Gary Rowan. He's put on a fair bit of size by the look of him as well. Looks like a reasonable size athlete these days.
Not only he's put on weight, he's actually grown.
Yeah, that's what surprised me pre-game. He's a tall fella.
I was on the lift, in the lift with him about a month ago, and I was absolutely staggered. I asked him had he grown. He said he had.
Oh, absolutely.
Rich, Harwood. And eventually it's Hawksley. McGrath, good presentation, nice mark.
Yeah, really good work rate from Ash McGrath to push back into the forward 50, then turn and put a secondary lead on.
Is he a better forward or back out?
Look, it's really it's a 50-50 bet. He's a really good crumbing and leading forward as a small forward, but his run off half back and his delivery is really important as well.
24 goals for the year. Got his first in that opening term. It's a good kick. It tracks the goal line, and he squeezes it through. An important goal for Brisbane.
I would think, Roosie, that Ash McGrath in a really good side, so as this team starts to mature and improves, I think he'll be down back. So his run and ability to carry and bounce the ball will be something that they'll need down back. But he's a potent forward. His work rate's really good, as we see here, and he's got genuine speed, and that's a good mark under pressure. And the kick from 50 metres, that's what you need from the experienced players when you're under pressure.
It is amazing the number of times he's kicked a critical goal though for Brisbane. He's just had an amazing capacity to go forward at times and be able to bob up and kick those goals. He's done it once again, a couple of goals today.
Yeah, and can kick some reasonable numbers in a short period of time. So he certainly has done that this year as well.
Goods, another clearance. Bouncing ball favours Jack. Got away from Adcock. Don't see that often. Bird floats the handball forward. Brisbane having to defend and doing a lot of it in this second quarter. 7 goal to 1 term. Swans lead by 30. Matner attacked it. Couldn't get a clean grab at it. But Sydney work it free. Kennedy Brisbane with numbers. What can O'Keefe do? He attacks it. Got it to Jack. Thought about a handball. Can't dance his way through traffic. Going to ground, Parker. Brisbane win a free kick.
Yeah, there was good pressure. Well done by the Brisbane Lions defenders. Some really nice tackling there.
Kiva ran into all sorts of trouble. O'Keefe, McGlynn, players going to ground. Rains went hard and wins a free kick.
Simon Black just plucked one there. He hasn't been given any space whatsoever tonight. And this will be possession number 6, which is low for sort of Blackie's normal average.
My apologies. Andrew Rains for Simon Black. Goes to Leuenberger. So plenty for Michael Voss. Jade Rawlings to think about at half-time. Good spoil by Shaw. Got it to Spanger. Rocketed the handle to O'Keefe. There was too much on it. Rich tunnelled it through his legs. Leuenberger. And working hard at ground level was Bird. Into the path of Kennedy. Great shepherd by Goods. Just opened up the corridor. Tight angle towards the goal square. Mumford and Maguire. Mumford wins out on this occasion. That was great work by Adam Goods, Alistair.
Yeah, good call, Swatter. Adam Goods was 30 metres off the ball and just putting a block on his opponent in Rains. As is a blood rule, Matt Maguire will come and have a spell, but yeah, Adam Goods, he does it all. And a bit of claret coming from Matt Maguire that he'll have to stop the flow there. Probably change the jumper. He's off the ball, top of screen. Adam Goods just putting a block on and just allows Kennedy to have a shot at goal.
Probably, Joey, needed to square that up. Big Shane Mumford at the top of the square. It was one of those sort of half kicks. You sort of half have a shot at goal and you half centre it. You end up with nothing. So maybe just the top of the square there. I think Rains was probably happy just to hang on to Adam there too, just to think, well, if I'm going to leave him, he's going to get another possession. So I might just...
yeah, if someone's going to kick a goal, it's not going to be my bloke.
It's not going to be him.
McGlynn, the reload, kick is on its way, but it's wide. Pepper the goal in this second term, Sydney. 7-4 to 1-2. They trailed by 6 points at quarter time.
Yeah, absolutely. Inside 50s, 18-7 for this term.
Drummond. Jesse White doesn't come in any easier as Leuenberger went to ground. A lot of Brisbane players, Ruzi, have slipped over today.
Yeah,
so you've got to question the footing.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have. There's no question about it. They seem more so than the Swans guys.
Goods will arrive late, but a spectacular spoil by Stiller.
Yeah, great spoil. Both the Gabba and the SCG, obviously cricket grounds, but certainly there's a very lush surface here at the SCG where the Gabba's probably a bit firmer and cut a little shorter.
2:24 to play, Sydney by 32. Mumford parks his big body in front of Leuenberger. Rowan, tight angle.
Oh, look out.
Tight angle. No, it's not. That's a miraculous goal.
He's pretty quick, but he can kick a decent snag as well, Rosie. That's a great snap.
Yeah, that is an unbelievable goal from where he was. Watch it here, outside here, not outside hit. I think Leuenberger, both Mumford and Leuenberger, look at this, kicks it and gets knocked at the same time. Probably the knock actually helped the kick. It was one of those ones where the tackle actually helps the ball go through, but that's a beautiful finish. Well done, young Gary Rowan. I think the interesting thing about both the Gabba and the SCG boys, where the boots, because you've got the cricket pitch in the middle, and you played here, Swatter, as well, and now up at the Gabba, you don't know what boots to wear because the centre wicket is so hard and the outside is so soft, so players are very reluctant to wear screw-in boots.
I just might add, I didn't see the cricket pitch that often.
That's a reasonable point, Al, I forgot that.
Brisbane
There was a cricket, sorry, Swatter, let's clarify that with Alistair. There was a cricket pitch on the Gabba.
So they reckon.
Yeah.
So they reckon. But no, it's a really good point, and it's something the midfielders are conscious of, apparently.
Kinesis is conscious of the situation. He's got 1 goal. Brisbane have only kicked 1 goal in this quarter. Sydney, on the other hand, 8 goals for. Complete domination. Is a goal kicker. Not on this occasion. It fades late.
And look, it is one of those frustrations for coaches because, as we all know, slipping over can cost you a goal, can cost you multiple goals, can cost you games, but players are still reluctant to wear the long stops.
Shaw, customary bounce, heads up to the wing, and a good mark by Drummond on Jesse White. Jesse White's got the perfect physique to play AFL footy for a long time, Rizzy. What's holding him back?
Well, I think it's those cases there. I mean, what Jesse needs to do a bit better, you can see he's got a big body, he's really quick, and he's really strong. Just the ability the awareness with his body and how to use his body, that's probably something that he hasn't been able to come to terms with in AFL football yet.
So that's a confidence thing?
Yeah, I think confidence just awareness. I think if he clunks 4 or 5 in a game, we're going to see a complete transformation of him. But that's a real test for him. You know, can he do that in one game?
Leuenberger, a good mark under pressure from Mumford. 45 seconds to play out in this opening half. Sydney arrested a 6-point deficit at quarter time. They have peppered.
Oh, the big fella.
8-4 to 1-3. Leuenberger, driving ball. There you go. They'll have another shot, Patrick Karnezis, in the shadows of half-time.
Yeah, bad free kick, I think it was against Marty Matner down there. One-on-one situation. Karnezis was obviously in a reasonable position, but to give away a free kick 30 metres out dead in front is just a cardinal sin as a defender, and an experienced one as well.
A much easier proposition for Patrick Karnezis, and he makes no mistake, he's got 2.
Yeah, they needed that one, the Brisbane Lions, to sort of understate the situation at the moment. And so the ball come in long here in the foreground on the left of screen. Marty Matner just wraps the right arm around the waist. And look, there's not a lot in that, but it is a grab. He did pull him back. So Karnezis certainly making Marty Matner worry about the situation.
I think the worst part about that is he was never going to mark the ball.
No, exactly.
So it was just really unnecessary from Marty Matner.
2 goals this afternoon for Patrick Karnezis. He's kicked 17 goals in his 11 games. So it's been another shining light for Brisbane in a difficult year. 4 wins this year against Gold Coast, Adelaide, North Melbourne and Port, but they have lost 7 games by less than 3 goals. They've got a big job in front of them here at the SCG on a Saturday afternoon, because the Swans in total control are out by 31, 11-7, 73 to Brisbane 6-6, 42.
Swans get a couple of early goals, it's going to be really tough. So look for the Brisbane Lions around the stoppages, around the clearance. They've got to get their hands on the ball first possession and get it going forward.
Absolutely.
Like they did in the first quarter.
Underway. Our customary second rebounds. 8 goals to 2 in that second quarter for the Swans after trailing by 6 points at quarter time. Beautiful bounce. Jack scrubbed it forward. Rowan. Outstanding goal in that second quarter. In fact, he got 2, but the one on the boundary line was a real highlight.
And again, from the first bounce of this third term, Swans happy to just go quick and long.
Leaping Adam Goods. He can run, he can jump, he can do it all. Great mark. Puts it inside 50 to Jesse White. Arms were locked with Maguire. It's been a good battle. And Leuenberger on the end of a chipping ball. Can feed it out wide. He's got a couple of players working into some space. Rich to provide the shepherd on Spanger. McKeever robbed by a bad bounce. McGlynn was taken high.
That was unlucky for McKeever and Rich. I think Rich went to do the shepherd, but the bad bounce actually went in his direction.
They peel off Malcheski. It opens up the door for O'Keefe. Plays off a handball to Jack. Rowan. Protected the ball really well there, Gary Rowan.
He looks a really likely type. With his extra size, could be dangerous forward.
Goes to O'Keefe. No intentions of having a shot. Centering ball. Not sure that was the destination.
I don't know, it went about 11 metres. I'm not sure he's actually kicking it to him, but it came off. And Spanger's had a really, really important role in this game. And he's going, I think he's kicked 2 already, Alan. Yeah, 2 goals, 1. Had 10 possessions the first half. Is really a true centre forward going for his 3rd goal.
So they started the second quarter with the opening 7 goals. Spanger looking to extend on his goal-kicking sheet this evening. And he has 3.
A really handy addition to the forward 50 targets for the Sydney Swans. Been a very good recruit coming over. I mean, it looks like probably with his size, probably ideally speaking, a 3rd tall, but have a look at that jump over Jack Redden from Adam Goods. That's a fantastic hang. And here's the Gary Rowan pass onto O'Keefe, which set up this next goal. There was probably no way that was meant for Spanger. It was a little bit hot, but a good mark, good shot.
He'll take it. He's got three.
If Sam Reid comes back into the team next week, you know, you've got Spanger, you've got Reid, Jesse White's playing a reasonable role today. You've got Adam Goods can go down there. They've got some forwards then that can really trouble the key position players at St Kilda next week.
Sydney up by 37. Goods palmed it to McVeigh. Great to see him back. Tough couple of weeks for Jared and his family. Cocked the mark. We go wide. On his bike is Hanley. Being dudded by a lot of poor bounces this afternoon, Brisbane. Hanley wanted the free kick. Jack wanted the ball and he got it from Rowan. The young brigade for Sydney combining. Maguire has been solid under a fair bit of pressure this afternoon, Alistair.
He has. He's worked pretty well under an enormous amount of pressure. The ball's just come flying in there. 33 inside 50s to the Swans.
Lets himself down with a poor kick. Rowan picks it off.
They just really haven't got a bailout play at centre forward, have they, Al? They haven't got anyone. I mean, that kick wasn't a great kick from Maguire, but they really haven't got anyone. Jonathan Brown attacks that football, brings that ball to ground, and they just haven't got that player at the moment.
No, that's right. It's Jonathan Brown, or it's a Mitch Clark, or it's a resting ruckman, but they just haven't got that depth at the moment with the significant injuries they've had throughout the course of the season.
Swans have numbers.
That's a
Falcon to Marty Magna. It's creeping in a bit too much for our liking, Lynchy. Yeah. Rowan will pump it outside 50.
Well, I think we've got to have a look at that again.
Oh, that was a nice sharp handball right to the left-hand side of the face of Marty Matner. Here it is. There you go. Cop that.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Gary. Thanks for the handball Marty's just said to him.
Rich to Raines.
And this is where it makes it difficult because they've really just got to slice the ball around. They can't just bomb it long. A lot of teams in this situation with the forward press, they just bomb it long to centre half. Sorry, bomb it long to the wing.
Exactly.
Get some numbers, get a big player there and get a crumb. We see them trying to do it here. And you've got big Mumford coming across. There's just no tall, no big there that can go, and it's an easy turnover to the Swans.
And really well.
Matty Leuenberger dropped inside for the sideways pass, so he wasn't even there.
Here they go. The run from Shaw. Chipping ball is not good. Good work by McKeever. Just shoveled it out. Getting back will be Kennedy. Absorbed the tackle. White gave it back to Kennedy. Thought about McVeigh. Thought better of it. Got it to Shaw. That's a better kick to McLean. Darting ball. Rich on the mark. Kick and a half from home for the Swans. Out by 37. Goods will set himself. Had it. Lost it. Bolton stripped of it. Got out of bounds on the full.
It looked like it could have been. That was a really good defensive spoil from Matty Leuenberger. He had the matchup of Adam Goods, not used to playing full-back, certainly not for many years, Matty Leuenberger, but he took on the challenge and a good spoil.
All players inside Sydney's forward half. Might get your thoughts, Lynchy, at some point in time in this quarter, what Brisbane will do when it comes draft time and trade time at the end of this year. Goods with the tap. But Brisbane, through Rockcliffe, will leave for the moment. Swans with numbers. That's a small victory for Hawksley and Brisbane. So what do Brisbane need to do when it comes time for drafting and trading?
Well, it's going to be really dependent on what Mitch Clark does, to be brutally honest. I mean, his contract hasn't been signed as yet, so if he wants to move on, they're going to certainly need another forward come ruckman to back up Leuenberger. So that's going to be something the Brisbane Lions staff are going to be very anxious about over the coming weeks.
Sure, the beneficiary of a Hanbury handball, and look at the delivery to White. Was he tripped? There's a free kick from the umpire deep in Sydney's forward 50. Closest to the action didn't think so, but Jesse White has possession and a chance to kick a goal.
Looked like it might have been just a clip of the ankles rather than just a push in the back. So Matt Maguire's certainly not happy, but I mean, fullbacks are never happy. Even when your full forward takes a chest mark, you still want to blame someone else.
I tell you, they're not happy when they see the team and they're at full back.
No.
Kick is on its way. It's working. It's working. Won't get there. Rowan, gather, kick. Right.
So what do you think Clark will do, Al? Have you heard any...
No, I really don't know. Halfway through the year, the rumours were strong that he was going to move on, but it'd be a massive loss. He's a very exciting player at his best, Mitch Clark, and I think he's been around the club a few years, so the Lions will be desperate to keep him. So I couldn't give you a definitive answer. I think halfway through the year I thought he was going, but now I'm just unsure.
Yeah, they really can't afford to lose him, though, can they?
No, not on the back of looking at Riscatelli and Brennan last year as well, which were your really core midfielders, and those players that have been in the team about 5 or 6 years that you build a team around, and certainly they can't afford to lose another one.
Yeah, with 2 new teams coming in, there's just not enough talent going around to replace guys like that, that's for sure.
38-point lead to Sydney. The only goal this quarter coming to Spenger, who's got 3. McVeigh throws it on the boot, and Rowan, strong mark at 48.
He's had an injury-interrupted season this year as well, hasn't he, Roosie? He hasn't played a lot of football, Gary Rowan.
Yeah, no, he has. He's missed a few games this year.
A kick from right on 50, and that is a fading ball. Leuenberger gets back there. Does it stay in? No.
I mean, you mentioned Gary's size before, Ali. He's sort of recruited as a bit of a half-forward type.
Yep.
But, you know, I suspect he could really develop into a key position player. He's now, you know, a good sort of 6'3", maybe a tad over. And he'll put some more weight on, clearly. He's only a young fella. He's got that lightning speed. We can see now he's got some sure hands. So it'll be interesting to see actually what position he develops into.
Polkinghorne with possession. Deep inside his defensive 50. Up towards the wing. It's a very good mark from McKeever. Got one for his trouble. Lays off a handball to Rockcliffe. Had a prolific year, Tommy Rockcliffe. Sheldon, beautiful delivery. Haven't had too much open space this afternoon. Not sure what that was.
Just blind turn, no one.
Yep.
Yeah, blind turn himself.
Comes to Drummond. And they might have mucked it up, Brisbane. O'Keefe arrives late. He's in all sorts of trouble. He's gone.
Yeah, as much as Noel McKeever tried to knock the ball out, he was always in trouble there.
Shaw has relished the change of scenery since crossing from Collingwood. It's a poorly directed kick. And his form over the past fortnight has probably mirrored the Swans. Roosie, 29 and 26 possessions in the past fortnight for Reece Shaw. Really got them going from half back.
Yeah, look, as we see the magnificent little blind turn there from Sheldon. Look, he's had a terrific year, sure. He's also done some really good tagging roles early in the year. I think he's had a really consistent season.
He's been a very good player. What's his 3rd season here at the Sydney Swans? Been a great addition.
Drummond spots up Harwood. Just under 13 to play this 3rd quarter. Sydney, equal points coming into this game with St Kilda, who are currently in 6th place. But if the Saints lose, Sydney win. It's a Swans home final against the Saints next week. Patient movement wide. The SCG. Rockcliffe's handball was a poor one. Opened up the door for the quicker foot Rowan. An advantage paid. He goes O'Keefe. And Kennedy's pushed forward. Penetrating ball. Goods top of the goal square. Adam Goods has got 3. 2 to beat. Now 3. And they all went to ground. And the mark is taken by Hawksley. It's a bad kick. Brisbane making hard work of it. Hard off the line. The former Swan knows this ground real well. Buchanan. Golby. Hawksley. Hanley. Looping handball. Sheldon. Hanley, great run. Chipping ball. McGrath goes to ground. Good spoil. McGlynn. Hard at it. So is Buchanan. Burrows away. And wraps up his former teammate, much to the disgust of Shane Mumford.
Buchanan's come onto the ground as the sub and got involved. Bryce Retzlaff is the one that's had a spell.
Rockcliffe, good kick to McGrath.
But Buchanan's just come on and had a couple of disposals and a few hard hits in that first 30 seconds.
Yeah, look, as a sub, he's a real impact player. He's a terrific stoppage player. He's got some nice speed. He can get out of traffic. So he might have an impact. He should have an impact on this game. There's no question. Already we've seen that.
Struggled to win a regular spot this year, Amon Buchanan. 4 games.
He's had some problems with injury as well ever since he's been in Brisbane.
Season the last 24 disposals against the Bulldogs, round 2. Ash McGrath has been the shining light for Brisbane. Inside 50, he's got 2 goals from 49 metres, and that's a very good finish. He now has 3.
As you said earlier, Roosie, about Ash McGrath's ability to play back and forward, and he's been able to be at a high level for a number of years now, and he's developing into one of the real leaders at this club. He's going to be important over the next few years. See Buchanan just burrowing in there, and looks like he's just got sat on his backside as well. So welcome back to the SCG.
It's just a really nice finisher, McGrath. He's a beautiful kick, Al, from around about that 40 to 50 metre mark. He very rarely misses from that range.
He's got good range, and certainly is a free kick. Well, there you go. That Shane Mumford has put the foot out of the circle, and that was something that was picked up last week as well that he got away with.
Beautiful kick from Rockcliffe, set up the McGrath goal, and now he gives the responsibility to Cornelius.
I haven't seen a lot of Aaron Cornelius, just coming up for disposal number 2.
He's played 5 of the last 6 matches, including a season high 2 goals, 3 from 10 disposals against the Kangaroos, round 18. Back-to-back goals for the Brisbane Lions. That is a wonderful finish.
And nice lead from the free kick as we hear the umpires still talking about the free kick against Shane Mumford. And Aaron Cornelius has come in and had another chance in the latter part of the year, and he's one of those mid-sized forwards that leads well, but hasn't been given any space whatsoever tonight. And here's the Mumford free kick. Just look at the the left foot, just no ball, and just over the line and free kick.
Sharp as eyes in town, Ray Chamberlain.
Well, you mentioned, I think, Al, you touched on it. It was on the coverage last week, so it's good to see Ray's has got the VCR set. Do they still have VCRs? They got the VCR set, went over the replay.
Betamax.
The Betamax, and had a really good look at that. He is as sharp as a tack.
Oh, the backhand there.
Just starting to win some of these important possessions from the clearances. Buchanan this time chips the ball to Kinesis. Beautiful gather at speed. Funnels the handball to Harwood. Went back and got it. Needs a target. He got it, but in the wrong colours. McGlynn. Eventually the clearing kick from Jack.
Now, Al, you did some work with Cornelius a few years ago?
Oh, no, number of years ago, I think as a youngster, we saw him in Tassie. Buchanan just going flat out.
You know, before he was drafted as a young kid. You down there or not?
I don't think so.
Not down there? I thought you got about down there a bit.
You're leading towards something that I'm concerned about.
Rains. McGrath couldn't get there. Stays in, but Shaw goes to ground. Allows McGrath to get back up. Is that deliberate? Not according to Ray.
A number of years ago, I was down in Tassie and did some work with Jack Rewalt and a few of that era that came through, Mitch Thorpe. But I think Aaron Cornelius was a bit younger there.
Claiming Jack.
Claiming Jack?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll claim him.
Jesse White claims the ball, kept it in, did really well. Back to McVeigh, standing start. To half forward, Drummond in front, got it to Rains by hand. Got it forward, Kennedy arrived late, did Polkinghorne keep it in? No.
Mind you, that was one half-hour session.
Well, you can impart some wisdom in half an hour, though. Don't sell yourself short.
Massive impact. I wasn't going to, Rosie. I thought it was a very good session.
What would be the half-hourly rate for someone like you, Richie?
Plenty.
Right up there.
All right, 27-point lead to the Swans. It's 2-1, Brisbane's way. Rich, good tackle by Matner. Wrapped him up.
Yeah, now that's the one in the first quarter that he would have kicked immediately.
Yeah.
So, you know, not over possessing, but he's running through traffic there. Rich really need to load up, particularly with a bit of momentum going their way. They've kicked the last sort of couple of goals. That would have been a really nice quick kick going deep in their forward 50. Instead, it was a free kick going to Swans.
He's had the 12 disposals. A lot of those have been under the pump, though. He's had a very close tag for most of the night.
Throw in. Another half-forward flank. Brisbane in search of their 3rd goal in this quarter. Jack feeds the handball back of the pack. Parker did well, controlled it. Got it to Kennelly. Almost by default. The Irishman leads it back to McVeigh. Canterbury. Played every game in 2011. Game number 50 today. And has had no less than 20 possessions in his last 10 matches. McVeigh to the outer wing. Bird, Jack, busy. Bouncing ball, Drummond eludes him. Stiller, Redden to Sheldon. They retreat to go forward, and they've got a man out, and that is Rains. Just needs a kind bounce. Gets it and can run. Forward of the wing. Look at the speed of Rowan from behind. Great chase. Rains to McGrath, goes to ground, out of bounds.
It was a fantastic chase, and probably it didn't get there early enough to lay a tackle, but just the pressure that he put on the ball carrier in Rains was enough to rush the kick. Just see the closing speed of Rowan, and Rains absolutely knew he was coming and coming quick.
Buchanan feeds a handball off to Polkinghorn. It holds up in the wind.
Yeah, it's one thing Gary Rowan's always been able to do. Unusual kids coming out of the under-18 competitions generally around Australia really have trouble with the defensive side of the game. They're really good ball winners, but one thing Gary Rowan's always been prepared to do is tackle and chase.
McVeigh to himself, and Mumford and White can take the mark. Rains continues to work hard. Swans have done a bit of work with Shane Mumford this year with regards to his tackling techniques, Ruzi.
Yeah, look, he did have a bit of trouble with the sling tackle he did on Gary Ablett, was it last year, and you know, by his own admission, he has tried to modify that over the last probably 5 or 6 weeks in particular.
Beautiful pick up by Parker, releases O'Keefe, gets the kick away fortuitously to Jesse White, feeds the handball off to the big man, loping away. Mumford to Goods. How about that service? Goods will look up. He's got an unguarded 450. He's got Rowan on his bike. He's got the wheels. Has he got the composure? Yes.
That was really well done by both Adam Goods and Gary Rowan. Goods, firstly, not to blaze away where it looked like the Brisbane Lions were going to get back to the goal square first. They'd Reshaw on the far side. That would have been a difficult kick. But just waited till Gary Rowan got into that space and just put a really nice kick out in front. Allowed Rowan to get on the end of it and take a really good mark. And he was kicking near a certain goal here. So a couple of very big efforts over the last 60 seconds for Gary Rowan.
And he's got 2 goals. Gary Rowan lining up for 3. 2 goals in the second quarter to cap off a great bit of Swans play. He does.
Yeah, that was really nice play from the Sydney Swans. Ryan O'Keefe, a controlled kick coming out of the defence under pressure and hit Jesse White. And the big receiver, Shane Mumford, at 110 kilos.
Watch for Shane Mumford again, Ruzi.
And he keeps it.
He wants it.
Adam Goods could have had 2 or 3 targets, and a bit of a cardinal sin for the Brisbane Lions defenders. You don't want to get guys goal side of you. Don't let them get behind you. And there's 3 Swans players goal side of their opponents, and Gary Rowan was the one that ended up marking and kicking the goal.
3 goals to Gary Rowan, but what we didn't see there was Shane Mumford was the first player to get to Gary Rowan after he set up the kick to Adam Goods. He's got great aerobic capacity and good turn of foot.
Well, I think he was sniffing out a goal as well. So there was some power running from the big man, and he goes again in the middle of the ground.
And he does that. So does Kennedy. Bullocks his way forward with possession. Puts it inside 50. Inventive spoil by Hawksley. Stiller's kick to Buchanan, who's been lively. The substitute, Jetta for Sydney, yet to be activated. And Buchanan continues to run forward. He'll pump it inside 50. McGrath's got a couple to beat. And that's a small win for the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, it is a win because he was outnumbered, Ash McGrath. The Sydney Swans were working hard to outnumber the Lions' opponents in their forward 50. So some good hard running at the moment for the Swans. They're just outworking the Brisbane Lions.
Tough day for Leuenberger against the bigger frame of Mumford. Rockcliffe has had a fair bit of it in this quarter. Kinesis and Richards. Good spoil by Richards. Do it again. .21 disposals to Ryan O'Keefe as well as Josh Kennedy, the best for the Brisbane Lions. Hawksley and Hanley and Rockcliffe, 16 touches.
Short throw.
Comes to Kennedy and away they go. Kennelly loves to run to a vacant wing. Brisbane with numbers. Spanger goes to ground. Brisbane eventually comes to Rains and he'll drive it long. Bolton to arrive late.
Yeah, against Eamon Buchanan there. Nick Smith was just held Buchanan under the ball, and Eamon, in his efforts to try to get in a better position, just held hold of his opponent, gave the kick away.
Towards White. Jesse, Nick Smith, an underrated player, Ruzi.
Yeah, look, he's a terrific player. One of those guys that you give him a job and you know he's going to do it. And he's played on some really good players over the last 2 years. And he pretty much does it week in, week out. Nice mark, Daniel Rich.
He did well against Marty Matner.
Yeah, Marty Matner would be pretty disappointed with that effort. In a one-on-one situation against Daniel Rich, is not noted. I mean, he's got a strong body, but not noted for his contested marking. I would suggest Marty Matner would be very disappointed, as his defensive coach would be as well.
Coming off a season-high 27 disposals against West Coast last week, Daniel Rich. Possession number 14, kick is a good one.
Yeah, that's one of the few times that Brisbane have been able to bang along and get a mark, because we've mentioned it several times throughout the evening. They just really haven't got a power forward down there to take a one-on-one catch. So, yeah, Daniel Rich, one-on-one, free kick to Jad Edcock from Mumford. I mentioned there, not a great effort from Marty Matner, but give Rich credit, used his body well, held him off, pushed him off, and then ran and jumped. And one of the few times contested mark inside forward 50.
Hasn't had more than 30 possessions this year. In fact, he's only had 30 or more possessions 3 times in his career, including a career-high 32 disposals against the Cats, round 15, 2009. Trailing by 26 points, Brisbane. They've won the quarter so far, 3-2, and they go forward again. Cornelius is on his bike. Johnson has been impressive. Rich, the releasing handball. Rains, no, it's Black, one way, then the other. Feeds it back off a step, Stiller. And that'll land a few rows back.
Daniel Rich is not a prolific ball winner, and I don't think he will be, Al, but it's just his ball use is so good. He doesn't need to have 30. Some midfielders need 30, 35, but you just got to get the ball out of Rich's hand. Adcock's the other one I asked you about, Al. I mean, Adcock's a really good defender, but it just seems when he goes in the midfield, he really changes the game. We saw him get that centre clearance there. Is it about his aerobic capacity he doesn't play more consistently through the midfield?
I think they've tried him at different times. I think he's he's probably not one of those that racks up big numbers in through the midfield. I think he can get his aerobic capacity to the level, but again, probably like McGrath, when your team's up and going well, he's in your back six and he's one of your best players down there. So he's had to pinch hit into the midfield. That was the best 6, that was.
Thank you for the clarification. Jack, Goods, Maguire early, hands in the back every day of the week. And Bolton says, thank you very much. Got 4.
It's been a really handy effort from Jude Bolton forward. And we can see here, I mean, I think you've called it right up. Here it is, another quick kick going forward. But Maguire here jumping all over Adam Goods, put his hand, his knee, everything in the back. Everyone stops again. There it is, magnificent rule that he's run past 2 defenders because they stopped for the whistle. But Jude Bolton's been terrific. Really poor free kick from Maguire.
2 goals last week, 4 goals this afternoon. 277 games. He's the 3rd most games played for Sydney, behind Adam Goods, who'll notch up game number 300 next weekend, first week of the finals. And another great player, Michael O'Loughlin. And on cue, Goods to Jack. Wobbling ball to Spanger, who's enjoyed his afternoon. Ground level ball, good desperation by Parker. Tackle by O'Keefe on Rich was good. Into the path of Adcock, as Ruzi said, into the midfield now. Delivers it perfectly. Marked by Hawksley. Centering ball is good to Leuenberger. Feeds off the handball to Hanley. Spears the kick, second forward in.
I think that was a beautiful pass. He certainly looked like he kicked it well. And as you said, it's half-time, Ruzi, with Ty Kennelly becoming one of the better kicks for the Sydney Swans when he was up and about. Certainly Pierce Hanley's development as a running halfback and the way he uses the ball has been extraordinary over the last 2 years. And he, as I said earlier in the call, he's one of the real positives for the Brisbane Lions in this season.
He's only missed the 1 game this year, James Polkinghorne, going up for his first goal of the afternoon. And it's well.
What do they put that improvement down? Because you're right, Al. I mean, Handley's really improved significantly, particularly this year, but over the last sort of 2 years.
I think, as you know, the development structures that clubs put in place these days to help all the developing kids with their skills, but certainly with the Irish boys getting the AFL ball in their hands and just getting used to how it operates and how to kick it has been extraordinary. So I think the Brisbane Lions will be very happy from a coaching point of view of how he's developed.
Chain of handballs ends with Shaw, and they've got McGlynn on the broadcast wing. They've got O'Keefe down the line. Poor kick. Hanley again. Starting to get involved in the game. Cornelius the mark.
Yeah, good numbers behind the ball now, the Sydney Swans. Ted Richards is 50 metres from Cornelius, so he doesn't want to just blaze away.
Just over a minute to play. Leuenberger's the target. Goods the attempted spoil.
That was a risky one, but he got to his intended target.
So he's got Adcock wide. Hasn't had a lot of free options, does Matthew Leuenberger. So he'll pump it long. Kinesis has to go. It's ball by Richards. Just casually going after it was Rowan. Knew what he was doing. Goes towards Jesse White, overcooks the kick, and now it's a foot race. Golby did well, paddled it to himself, went back and gathered it, and then delivered it beautifully to Kinesis. 37 seconds to go in the quarter. 3 goals apiece. And Sydney by 31. Kick to McGrath. He's the go-to man.
Yeah, really good lead from McGrath. Big numbers back for the Sydney Swans, but he went on his second lead. It was about 30 or 40 metres. Ended up got into space and was rewarded. And this is just on the limit. He'll get the distance though, but as long as he doesn't try to overkick it.
He's back a long way. Kick it into gear. He's got 6 disposals for 3 goals. He's been very effective. Stuttering approach on his way. Siren gone. And a behind to finish it for the Brisbane Lions. Sydney are looking the goods with a quarter to go. 14-9-93. Brisbane 9-9-63 from the SCG. To fine-tune their finals preparation, taking on Adelaide from Perth later on this evening. Last quarter of the season for Brisbane. And we'll have a recall.
I think that's one thing with the Lions, Al, is they just don't have a lot of genuine pace through the midfield.
No.
Really like some of their midfield, some of the young midfielders we mentioned before, but not a lot of pace. What McGrath does give you is a bit of an X factor off the wing or high half forward coming up to the stoppages.
Goods gets the kick away and loses his boot. Comes to Black. Hasn't seen much of it, Simon Black. Great player. Darts the ball to half forward. Cornelius couldn't take the mark. Keeping the ball alive was Kennedy. He got it to Adam Goods. Pumps it inside 50. Jesse White out-muscled by Maguire. Maguire's won that battle. Drummond to Mopper. Chased by White. And Goods attacked it. Tried to get a handball to Rowan. Couldn't find the target. Bird taken down a good tackle. Still alive. Maguire. Swooped on by McGlynn. Centering ball. Parker. Worn closely by Golby. Rains did well. Stood in the tackle. Eventually comes to Rockcliffe. Goes towards the outer wing and the Irishman. Final season of AFL football. Looks inboard. And goes down the line to O'Keefe.
Hey, he's looked pretty good today, Tig. It's interesting.
Yeah.
We've all seen it when that player finally announced his retirement. They just, as the weight of the world comes off their shoulders, he looked a bit more polished today, looked pretty sharp. He's got it, the further game's gone on, the more he's got involved. Nice mark there from Luke Parker. He's pretty good over his head, actually, for a midfielder. He's a hard in and under midfielder, a bit like the Jude Bolton model. But again, like Jude, he can catch it over his head as well.
Poor marking by Brisbane, though.
Yeah.
Well, they had numbers down there. They had a good zone in place.
So Luke Parker debuted against Port Adelaide, round 8. He's played 10 games coming into this afternoon. In his first year of football, and kicks a goal.
Yeah, nice goal, nice build-up from the Sydney Swans, as you said, Ruzi. That's class players getting involved with Kennelly and O'Keefe, that's for sure. And Parker just adding to the depth of that mix. And as you said, Swatter, poor marking from the Brisbane Lions to have essentially 2 Swans players could have marked that. It was Spanger or Parker, and there wasn't a Brisbane Lions defender to be seen. So just a little bit of slack checking in the last term of this game.
Need to hang tough, the Brisbane Lions. Finish off the year. They did win the quarter, 3-3 to 3-2 in that third term.
But look, you hate to see that balloon ball coming in, and you mentioned, Al, there was 2 Swans players unmarked. You really hate to see that as a coach. You know, Brisbane really need to fight this one out.
Free kick to Shane Mumford, and that's the thing I think we've all admired about the Brisbane Lions. For big chunks of games they've been in contests, but they really need to finish this one off and really work hard up against quality opposition.
Down by 6 goals. Goods will get the feet off handball. Lark around. He spots up White. He did well. Should have been a free kick. Hand to the back. Not according to Razor Ray. Great tackle by Jesse White. And Ray says it's my ball.
Yeah, you're right. That was really good attack on the ball by Jesse White on 2 occasions. Firstly with the marking contest, and there's just a clear sort of push in the back. And look, you get away with it, you get away with it. But I like the way he got after the ball and made that tackle. Was terrific.
Mumford, beautiful tap down to Goods. Everywhere at the moment, Adam Goods puts it up towards the goal square in the direction of Rowan. Sheldon paddles it towards the boundary line. Pearce is there in support. Arriving late and low was Rowan. Good tackle. Well done by Hanley. Stripped the ball away. Got it to Rains. Fired the handball off. Hard work for Brisbane. Shaw, McVeigh instead will take the mark. And given the circumstances, it's been a tough few weeks for Jared.
Yeah, look, a really
family.
tough week, and just a fantastic family. Jared's family and Clementine's family, they're just super people. Really tough week.
Adam Goods got up, couldn't control it, out of bounds. And it really underlines the performance 2 weeks ago against St Kilda. 27 disposals.
Yeah, look, you talk about courage. I mean, what Jared McVeigh's been able to do over the last month or so has been terrific. And as I said, great support from his wife Clementine, and both their families are just exceptional people. And I know he's been really pleased with the support he's been getting, not just from the Swans family, but the AFL family has been fantastic. So look, it's great to see Jared McVeigh back, and I'm sure his family, if not here, are watching at home. And again, we pass on our wishes to all of those people.
And for the benefit of those people who aren't aware, unfortunately, Jared and his wife Clementine lost a baby a week and a half ago. So as Rosie said, our thoughts and prayers are with the family right now. He's back doing what he does really well. Buchanan shoveled it to Rockcliffe. Out of bounds. From a Swans point of view, Rosie, it'll be a late pick, but what do you think that they could do with it draft time?
Yeah, look, I think probably another big key forward, key defender. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what pick they get because of GWS, and they're going to have a truckload of picks. I think what teams do, though, generally, Al, is just take best available. I don't think they worry too much now. What you tend to draft for talent, Swatter, and maybe trade for positions. You asked about Brisbane before. You probably tend to do that. I maybe think the Swans are looking for a tall. See John Longmire in the coach's box there, maybe through the trading. But you just generally draft the talent, best available kid available, whatever pick it is.
Sydney have worked it free into the square. Brisbane strip it back. Black has just struggled to find any clear air this afternoon, Simon Black. He goes again, but story of the day, 3 Swans set him into the ground with possession.
And you mentioned about Brisbane's young midfielders coming through. Some very good players, Rockcliffe, Redden, Rich, all very good, talented players, but the genuine leg speed's not there. So I think that someone that can put space between themselves and the opponent from a centre stoppage is what they'll be looking for. But it's going to be heavily reliant on what happens with Mitch Clark, as I said.
It's picked off by Hanley. He'll dart the kick. Almost got to Kinesis. Vader mop up. Adam Goods. He's got off to a great start in his final term. 5 disposals. And the running man has a couple of bounces. He needs to bounce again. And he's full measure there. And the kick is poor.
Yeah, just had no one coming up at him then. I mean, the switch was on, but sure had no one coming to him.
Here's a chance for Adcock, but that kick holds up in the wind, allows Shaw to get back in support of Richards. Rush behind.
Yeah, I think following up from that, Al, you can target a type of player through the draft. I mean, we obviously, there it is. There's no options. You can see up the ground. You look there, no one came really hard at him. Swans clearly 2 years ago, just that leg speed was an issue, and to go out and get Gary Rowan pick 6 and Lewis Jett, I think, pick 14 was really important for the club. Just to add a bit of leg speed, but it does depend on what pick you got and who's available at the time.
Richards the spoiled. It's still alive. So they led by 6 points at quarter time, Brisbane 4-3 to 3-3. Sydney tipped that on its head, 8 goals to 2 in the second quarter, lead by 31. They led by an even 5 goals at three-quarter time. And at the moment, they're in control of the Brisbane Lions, looking to finish off the year reasonably well, if that's possible. Kennelly, good control, tried to get it to Shaw.
Ruzi, you haven't coached with the sub rule in play, but Lewis Jetta is still the sub at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's fascinating that
you bring him on now? Or?
Yeah, it's fascinating that he hasn't come on the ground. I mean, the only thing is you're not sure when an injury, if and when you hope an injury. I'd suspect he'd be coming on very, very shortly.
Johnson towards Matner. Mr. Spoiler Stiller. There he is.
There he goes.
The activation, he's been given the nod. The eyebrows gave it away, Ruzi.
Very shortly.
Talk about speed. Here it comes.
There may be a TV just in the coach's box, Ruzi, and they've heard the audio.
May not be coaching. They have some channels of communication.
I'll just get Horse on the phone now if you want to talk to him.
Ruse. Adcock thrown out without possession. McGlynn burrowing along to Terrier.
I think that's going to be fascinating in the finals, though, isn't it? That sub, because clearly teams have been really waiting and waiting and waiting. You see John Longmire there. I'm sure you're always worried about a bit of an injury, what you're going to do. But it's going to be fascinating in the finals what teams do with the sub.
Here goes Adam Goods. Feeds a handball. Will get it back. Finish it off. He doesn't. Unselfish to Spanger. And he misses.
A nice passage of play. That was one of the cases when Spanger just really loaded that banana kick. Normally you've got to put a little bit of finesse on the ranger. But here he goes here. Great effort. I mean, Adam Goods had another really good game today. Great hands from Luke Park. Another good handball from Goods. But he absolutely drilled it. And then it doesn't tend to bend as far. I know you generally went for the drop punt that turned into banana, but...
Yeah, didn't have the kicking down pat as a technique.
Terrific mark by Redden. Got it to Leuenberger. Adam Goods. What a wonderful player he's been. It holds up in the wind. Bouncing ball. McGrath sharking it. He's been the lone hand inside 50. And he may have another shot at goal, but it'll be tough because the wind will be blowing into his face.
When you mentioned before the game, Al, about the trouble kicking goals, I think you've been proved to be right. And it's nothing against the Brisbane Lion players or coaching staff. It's just bereft of big players. And we saw that again, the balloon ball going in. They're not going to mark it, and they get a bit of a free kick, and that's been the pattern of the day.
Yeah, it's been a challenge for most of the year with the key injuries that they've had. Obviously, Jonathan Brown been out for most of the year. Ash
McGrath, 3 goals for the Brisbane Lions. Has certainly tried hard with limited disposals. In the pursuit of extra distance, he pulls the trigger and it's wide.
Absolutely. We see the way he's, especially the last few steps, just dropped out to the right as Lewis Jetta comes into the game, and Spanger will put the red vest on. But yeah, those last 2 steps just tried to really tee it up and pull the ball.
Harwood, great chase by Parker. Could have been holding the ball.
Yeah, I think with Jonathan Brown, you can't underestimate the difference he makes to game style. We know what a great player he is, but he makes a significant difference to what you can do as a team, because you know you can bomb the ball deep in your forward line with Jonathan Brown there. Even when he's a little bit underdone in terms of fitness, because he's always going to compete and bring the ball to ground. So it is a significant change when he's not there.
Yeah, exactly. It's more than just marks and kicks and goals. It's certainly a big plus for your structure.
Lewis Jetta has been activated. It's a career high against Brisbane. Round 11 win earlier this year, 19 disposals. Brisbane try to muscle it forward. Rockcliffe arrived late, could have infringed on Malcheski, but no.
And I think Spanger probably would have gone off. He's had a number of soft tissue injuries this year, and given his performance today, he could be really important for them next week. If Sam Reid, as I said, comes back in, Spanger, Reid and White and Goods down forward, there's a real chance here for Jetta to put a stamp on the game in the last 15 minutes.
Buchanan, that's a good mark. Get your thoughts, Ruzi, on the wheels that Lewis has got on. He may get it. The run from Kennelly. Look at those fluoro-orange wheels. Wowee! Out of wing. He can run away. He's in 3rd gear. Thought about 4th. Stuttering. Had the choke out.
Yeah, probably the frustrating thing with the coaching staff, certainly when I was coaching, we really encouraged him to run and carry the ball, and he does that really well. But once again there, all he needed to do, I'd love to see him just pin the ears back, take the man on, and I know probably the coaching staff still are trying to encourage him to do that. He's exceptionally quick.
Oh, no.
As we look at another Falcon.
Deary me. That superseded the one we saw before.
That's the thing, Rosie. I agree totally. You almost want to see a player like that risk getting tackled a few times a game. Well, I want you to get tackled a few times, caught with the ball.
And he's definitely got licence to do that, and that's why sometimes he's just got to play to his strengths.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we talk about, you know, eliminating players' weaknesses and working on them, but the best players play to their strengths week in, week out. And when he learns, you know, how quick he is, he's certainly going to be a very dynamic player.
What are you suggesting? He doesn't appreciate how fast he is?
Well, sometimes guys don't really understand what their strengths are. Yeah, he's in this team to run and carry the football, and I agree with you, Al. If he gets tackled a couple of times, so be it.
Absolutely.
Jude Bolton gets tackled and plays a lot of them himself. Wonderful player. It's a shallow kick. Maguire almost spoils Hawksley. O'Keefe went hard, wins the free kick. Mumford, advantage. Matner, that's the call. Should be holding the ball. No. Rest to Matt Spanger. Been a busy player this afternoon. 2 goals. And Bolton almost sharked it.
Just throw, good tackle. Jed Adcock just working hard around those stoppages that really put the game, made it really difficult for the Lions to come back in that second term when the Swans dominated at the clearances.
27,721 have turned up this afternoon. Final game of the home and away. Sydney are finals bound. Brisbane pack their bags, have a well-earned rest and get busy for next year. Turn things around. Cornelius did well, assess the options. Got it to McKeever. Needs a kind bounce. He's got Rains out wide. Got it. Can finish it off. Nice build-up. Pull the trigger and spray it wide.
Yeah, nice passage of play, just going long to that wing and then crumbs and getting it back in the corridor. Yeah, you got to finish that one though.
Yeah. Switch of play. McVeigh to Melcheski. Didn't play until round 9 this year, Nick Melcheski. Had some knee issues. An important player. Driving ball up towards O'Keefe. Good work by Pierce Hanley. Arriving late, Stiller. Brisbane, Rains. Continues to work hard, has had one of his better seasons this year.
Yeah, agree. He's worked very well, done some good jobs tagging some of the best midfielders in the competition.
Hanley just looks comfortable at the elite level now. That a free kick? No. And Sydney win it free again. Kick from Smith around the corner. Good contest. Well done by Parker. Brisbane through Rains again. Black. Tough afternoon for Simon Black. Had no room to move. Sydney have done a good job shutting him down. Hawksley fires it to Stiller. Didn't know there was pressure from behind. Crowd wants ball, but Ray's on watch. You've got to earn him. Maguire through the corridor. High ball. Pack forms. Rowan with courage almost took the mark. Desperation by Buchanan. That's almost a throw. Got it to McGrath. Work it free. Rockcliffe. Kick is on its way. Deserves a goal. But Johnson says no. And he's quick to reload it. He's got McGlynn. No. Good work by Adcock. McGlynn goes again. A couple of real competitors there.
Amon Buchanan, since coming on halfway through the third term's worked pretty hard. He's had 11 disposals now, and his work rate's right up there.
Does he fit into their plans for 2012?
I'm not sure how he is contractually, but he'll be certainly one of those players discussed at the end of the season.
McGlynn, what a player he's been. He wants it back, and he gets it. Hanbury, McGrath, chase, tackle, perfect.
I mean, he was set up pretty much on that occasion, but there was a great case in point of Vash McGrath's leg speed, the ability to close in on the ball carrier and lay that tackle. As I said, it was a bit of a setup with a handball.
It's a really good message for the younger kids, though. The game is effectively gone. He's worked hard late in the last quarter, and he continues to do that thing.
Absolutely, it's what you need.
3 goals for Ash McGrath. Ash McGrath, I should say. Just under 8 minutes to play. Deserves the 4th goal. From just outside 50, kick works and doesn't work across the goal line. So Johnson says, I'll take it and I'll get it away from the danger zone. Parker!
Yeah, a little early from Parker, tried to take a big hang, but good sport from Teddy Richards on the line. Brisbane needed someone there to assist.
A strange kicking action, McKeever, but plenty to work on. He's just a quiet type of player, Josh Kennedy. He just accumulates the ball, and it's not until you look at the stat sheets, Ruzi,
Teddy Richards.
you realise how many he's had.
Jump.
Yeah, look, Joey Kennedy, around the stoppage, is one of the best I've ever seen at keeping his feet and actually getting a handball out of unbelievable pressure. And again, is also a guy that you don't notice during the game, but when you watch the tape as a coaching group on a Monday, you can't believe how well he played. And he sets up a lot of play out of stoppages, really strong. You look at the size of him. He's such a big, strong midfielder.
And that second quarter that he had certainly set up the Swans' win tonight. 8 clearances. Is that 12 for the evening?
Some tired boys out there from a Brisbane point of view. Hanbury almost stole it. Comes to Harwood. Handball back to Hawksley. Not sure about the decision. Into the lap of Matt McGrath. Another great chase. Jesse White, watch for Adam Goods. Back of the pack. Goods. Soccer. Could have thought about a quick handball off to Jesse White, and he knows it.
Yeah, I think he knew it straight away when he sunk the slipper in. He could have just hit a little handball off the side to Jesse White. Marty Matten looks like he's gone forward too, and I actually don't mind him as a forward. Yeah, he could have grabbed hold of that and just laid it off to Jesse.
Goods with 8 disposals in this final quarter, looking for number 9. Need to hurdle a couple of players.
Another big game for Adam Goods. He's really been the difference, and he's racked up 28 disposals now, kicked the 3 goals.
Can he get 4? Kennedy, centering ball. Brisbane defend. Rains. Almost coughed it up. Did well to control it. Get it to Rich.
Ruzi, from a Sydney Swans football department point of view, forgetting the surface, where would the club prefer to play? SCG or ANZ Stadium?
Oh, look, I don't think it really, from an actual ground, I think we've played probably some of our best football at both stadiums. So there's a lot said about the Swans would much rather play at the SCG. Yeah. That's not really the case. Certainly if the surface is not acceptable, and talking to our players, talking to certainly Ross Lyon and some of the St Kilda people, there's no question that ground was just in horrible, horrible condition. Yep. So I honestly don't believe it matters that much, providing the surface of both venues is in good nick.
Okay.
Mumford pushed underneath by Leuenberger. Black, Rains, another possession. High ball, Shaw's on his bike. If he gets this, he'll try to get away. Hands in the back. Not according to the umpire. Buchanan, spearing ball. Oh, wonderful pickup by Richards. The gather was even better to Kennelly. To set up again, O'Keefe. Got numbers out wide. Bird, Johnson. Another great find for Sydney, Alex Johnson. Bird seems to be more comfortable.
Look, Alex Johnson's been another one that's been really good this year. But Teddy Richards, we've mentioned a couple of times. He's been solid again today. And I think the fact that the Swans have got 2 pretty good key defenders now, and Richards, Grundy's not playing today, it really stands them in good stead going into the finals. And Alex Johnson, as that playing on the third tool, has been terrific, as I said. So going into next week, and they'd be really confident playing against St Kilda where they played 2 weeks ago. But equally, they'd be aware that St Kilda's form of recent times, certainly last week they've been terrific, St Kilda. It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. So it's going to be a cracking game next week.
Good ball by Maguire. Adam Goods shuts down the option of Daniel Rich receiving it. And we'll have it thrown in. You talk about Heath Grundy out with a virus, and Sam Reid, the other late omission with a calf.
Yeah, so a couple of significant ins, hopefully, for the Sydney Swans next week. First round of the finals. So they're certainly going to play a role in this final series. Always, or for the last decade, they've been a significant player come September. They're an experienced side and just seem set up for finals action.
Who wins next week, irrespective of the venue? Lynchy, St Kilda, Sydney.
Yeah, I think it will depend on the venue. I think it's going to be hard to stop the Saints, but we're going to see a cracking game. Won't be a lot in it either way, but 2 gets on top. If they can keep Goods quiet, it's going to be tough for the Swans to win. But Goods gets off the chain as he has the last couple of weeks, the Swans will get up. How's that for stand on the fence?
Yeah, it's not bad. Glenn lays it off to Kennelly. He's got better as the game has gone on. And that's the sight that they've grown used to seeing. Matner off his toenails, couldn't take it. Dragged it back in.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's some good signs for Ty Kennelly. He's up to 18 possessions today, and he's really looked more comfortable running and rebounding off half-back. So, again, good signs for the Sydney Swans.
Ty Kennelly, 195 games, announced his retirement this week. Hanbury from the throw-in. Matner, slick one to McGlynn. Watch for Adam Goods. Got the position, got the ball, got control, and he's got 4.
He won another Brownlow medal. He's had some really big games. I mean, I haven't seen too much of the Sydney Swans live, but every time I look when they have good wins, he's led the way.
Look, his last 5 or 6 weeks have just been exceptional, and he does poll the 3 voters. We know that. Really good hands from Marty Matner, lovely kick in, and just nice body work. Probably could have marked it, but sinks the slipper in and kicks his 4th goal. I think the thing we know about Adam Goods and guys like Adam and Chris Judd is they always vote well. Now, there's no question that he's had 5 or 6 at least best on grounds. And the Brownlow medal is probably different to most other awards where it's still the 3, 2 and 1. And if you have 5 or 6 best on grounds, it really doesn't matter too much about the rest of your season. But I think his season has been very good this year, and his last 5 or 6 weeks have been exceptional.
4 goals, 29 disposals, 10 handball receives, 7 clearances, and 11 entries inside 50. Fair day at the office. Parker weaved his way through traffic from the old to Adam Goods to the young in Parker.
Yeah, look, this is a little bit of junk time now, but it can be really beneficial to the Sydney Swans. It's not going to make, obviously, any difference to the Brisbane Lions because they're going into Mad Monday and they're going into a break. But these are really significant touches and moments for the club. Marty Matner's gone forward and done really nicely, so that gives him another string. Luke Parker has had some really nice touches, kicked the goal. So it is really important this last 3 minutes, not so much for the Brisbane Lions, even though they'd like to finish off nicely, but certainly for the Swans to continue the momentum.
Parker's 2nd goal in this 4th quarter. Sydney have kicked the only 3 goals of the term in front of 27,721. And it's a 45-point lead. The end can't come quick enough for Brisbane. It's been a tough year at the office. Just the 4 wins. And some injuries to big-name players, including Jonathan Brown. Matner, forward, Parker, involved to Bolton. O'Keefe took the tackle off to Jack. Dances his way, chipping ball. Goods will arrive late. Another Falcon. It's a 3rd for the game. It's crept in, Roosie.
Not sure
what you can do about it.
That's the back of the head, Falcon, that one.
Rains. Sheldon ducked his head. Had it for an eternity. Got it away to McKeever. Couldn't take the mark. O'Keefe, big hit from Buchanan. That is a big hit on the left shoulder. He's perfectly timed by Amon Buchanan, but that's the last thing Sydney need with only a few moments to go.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Buchanan has worked into this game extremely hard, but there's a few issues there.
Nathan Gibbs and Matt Cameron, the doctor and physio for the Sydney Swans, attending Ryan O'Keefe, and he's got a big issue there.
Well, I hope it's not a collarbone or an AC concern, but Amon Buchanan is coming to this game off the sub-bench really hard.
And he's looking for Amon Buchanan too.
Not happy at all.
He's not happy at all with his old Premiership, 2005 Premiership teammate. He's looking around, pointing at him. Handball off.
Good pump.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's a good attack at the ball, isn't it, Rosie?
Yeah, I think the only problem is that one's going into the finals and one's not. So I think that's where Ryan O'Keefe's not too happy. But in terms of what he did, it's just part of the game.
Well, that's a good sign for the Swans. Tough old game. Hanbury round the corner. Goods. Great tackle by Maguire. I've liked his game. Like the game of Jude Bolton. Can't cap it off.
Geez, there was a nice little slick handball there too from Gary Rowan. Just beautiful handball.
It's become a real highlight in the modern game, Rizzy, hasn't it? The ability of players to hit target.
Yeah, no doubt. You
pressure.
watch it here. Here it is here. Just a really slick little give. And nice running from Jude to get to the face of Gary Rowan to be able to dish that off.
4 goals for Jude Bolton this afternoon. The leaders have been very good. Goods and Bolton. Kids have been good like Rowan. Arrived late on McKeever. comes to Matner, wants a target, gets it in Kennedy, gives it off to Hanbury, opens up the corridor, and he slams it home.
Well, the important thing for the Sydney Swans is quite a few of their goals have come from tackles. You know, they're still putting pressure on. It's not just easy junk goals at the moment. But really, the Swans here, you see this, Gary Rowan makes a tackle, Marty Matner gets there. I think Marty's been good going forward. Nice handball there and a really nice finish from Dan Hanbury. So clearly the intensity of Brisbane Lions have dropped off, but the intensity of the Sydney Swans is still going. And that would really, really please John Longmire with only a minute and 20 to go.
First goal for Dan Hanbury, 23 disposals, 19 uncontested, 2 inside 50s, season high 30 possessions against the Bulldogs. Round 18, Ryan O'Keefe, big hit from former teammate Amon Buchanan to be okay. And that's a relief. Sydney have kicked the only 4 goals in the quarter. Maguire attacked it. I've liked his game this afternoon, Ruzi, under a fair bit of pressure.
Yeah, look, he's been solid. Been a tough day for the defenders of the Brisbane Lions, no question. The ball's been coming in pretty much for the whole day, particularly after quarter time. But he's been solid, there's no doubt about that.
And Andrew Rains has been pretty good as well, 24 disposals. James Hawksley the best for Brisbane with 26. So just over a minute to play, and it's the last minute for Brisbane's season. Sydney, bigger fish to fry against St Kilda next week. Venue to be decided. Remembering the Saints take on Carlton, a big game at the MCG tonight. Don't forget West Coast hosting Adelaide at Patterson Stadium. 52 seconds to play. Black. Haven't seen much of him this afternoon. Comes to Kennedy. High leap from White. Black, another possession to Hawksley. Stiller. Rockcliffe. Figuring their best and fairest later this year, Tommy Rockcliffe, along with Redden, Harwood, Leuenberger as well as at his best year. Jack with 27 seconds to play. Look at those shoes.
Yeah, they're nice wheels, aren't they?
Couldn't see you wearing them back in your day, Ruzi.
No, they didn't have them back in that day.
Goes to Shaw. He's been an important player.
Yeah, he's been very good today. 28 disposals, been exceptional. And played on Black at times too and cut him out of the game as well.
4 seconds to go. It's about to be a curtain call for Brisbane. And that is it. Sydney, a resounding win at the SCG. Adam Goods and co will get ready and prepare for St Kilda next weekend, either here in Sydney or in Melbourne. 18-11, 119. Brisbane, 9-13, 67.
Yeah, look, a comprehensive victory in the end and some good players. See, Ty Kennelly thought he'd come back to some really good form today, particularly late in the game. Got involved, really started to run and carry the football. There's Eamon Buchanan. Wonder whether Ryan O'Keefe will go up to Eamon Buchanan and just check it out after Eamon put a hit on him. But the Swans good players, the leadership group was really good. Reece Shaw had a good game, Adam Good. Joey Kennedy was fantastic. 29 possessions, Ryan O'Keefe 28, Dan Hanbury 24. Jared McVeigh, fantastic. Yeah, great effort. And yeah, it's very, very difficult to continue to talk about the McVeigh family and Clementine, her family, because it has been a tough week. We've said it a number of times. So fantastic. Congratulations, Jared. It's great to see him back on the field.
Well, they've turned their season around. They got it going against St Kilda 2 weeks ago. Geelong last week down at Skilled Stadium. And here at the SCG this afternoon, 29 disposals, 11 inside 50s and 4 goals. That man there is Adam Goods and he's with Alistair Lynch right now.
Goodsy, congratulations. Fantastic win in the lead up to the finals.
Yeah, look, we started slow today. It was disappointing, and then to play that way in the second and the last quarter was really, really important for us going into the finals.
As you said, a slow start at the game. You were smashing the clearances. What did John Longmire say at quarter time?
Oh, just very disappointing coming off a really good 4-quarter effort last week. Just lazy, and it was left to too few, and it was good to kick back in that second quarter and put on some goals.
A couple of late changes to the team today. You're likely to get those players back next week?
Yeah, definitely. If it had been a final, both the boys would have played, so it's a bit of a good thing for 2 other boys to come to the team and play a role, and they did that.
And I saw you spent the last few minutes on the bench. All fine?
Yeah, mate, I wanted to keep playing. Just love being out there trying to kick some more goals, didn't you?
All the best, and all the best for September. Well done.
Adam Goods with Alistair Lynch. It was Brisbane by 6 points at quarter time. Sydney turned that around, 8 goals to 4 to 2 in that second term, led by 31. They led by an even 5 goals at 3-quarter time. 4 goals to 4 behinds in the final term, which sees Sydney record a 52-point win at the SCG in front of 27,721.